I'm going to start exactly on time, as we told our friends from around the world to join us at exactly 4 p.m. Central European time. But for now, just some housekeeping notes. Folks, if you're not presenting, please keep yourself on mute. Thank you for sharing your excitement with us with emojis. That's very, very cool. But if you're not presenting, please keep yourself on mute, or we will do that for you. And we're going to get started officially at 4 p.m. Central European time. But before we start with the official show, Romy, do you want to share some news with us, some information, some updates?
So the real updates, first of all, that I'm really happy that we're doing the second edition of this event. It's very exciting. The first edition was very successful, and some of the people are here again, like you, of course. But we have new and exciting presenters today. So it's I'm really I'm looking forward to see and hear what you're going to speak about. Actually, I see that there are so many people that are connecting. I'm really happy to see that. Now, even from Paris and other very interesting places. Keren, would you like to tell us where you've been these days? What have you done these days?
Of course. So one of the things I'm most excited about these days is actually this event. It's the shirt I'm wearing, everybody. If you can see it, it's called Hacker Riot. Check it out. Hacker Riot. It's the Hacker Riot. It's a local event that we're working on here in Israel for the third time in a row. It's coming up in just 2 weeks, and it's a fantastic event that is designed to bring cybersecurity jobs, to bring more women into cybersecurity jobs. So to make the cybersecurity industry and the workforce more accessible to more women from different backgrounds, whether they are young students, whether they are women in maternity leave with their baby. This is one of the only hacker events you'll go to where people can bring their babies, and we have. So it's a really exciting initiative. It's happening in 2 weeks' time. If you are here with us on the call and you know any young women or students or women in Israel that are looking for their next career path, and you think cybersecurity might be interesting for them, please do check out the Hacker Riot initiative. I'm going to put the link in the chat as well, so you should be able to visit that. And I really recommend that ladies that are interested in cybersecurity positions join this event. It's a really welcoming and friendly atmosphere. It's an event organized by a group of volunteers, and myself, together with the leading cyber ladies group of women in cybersecurity, we have been supporting this hackathon, this initiative, for the last 3 years, and we are really excited about it. I see some questions about the not young audience. You're right, we are actually welcoming anybody to the Hacker Riot hackathon, any women from at any stage in their life, if they're looking for a new career path, whether they are students or maybe they're considering a second or even a third career path, they're welcome to join us at the Hacker Riot hackathon. So Romy, this is what I'm really excited about these days.
Yes, and I know that you're doing a lot for women. It's not just this new thing that you're doing, but it's years that I'm following you. And you're doing a lot of interventions and events for women, and I take part of these events, and it's really exciting. And I'm really happy that these events are existing, because it makes a very warm place for women to find themselves and sometimes to ask questions, and even if it's just for work, or even if it's for the career, and even if it's actually a technical question. So sometimes it's much more like a familiar sensation to be in a small group with women and to feel more comfortable. So I really thank you for that. And
I agree. Thank you, Romy. I couldn't agree more. It's the reason I've been doing this for years is to support women from all walks of life to be as part of the cybersecurity ecosystem.
Yeah, so it's working.
Great.
We are a minute from the start. I'm really excited. I'm really counting the seconds to come. And also, we have a lot of women here today, so it's the first time that I see Gabrielle, and hi. and May that I know already from before, so and Tal. So we have a lot of, and of course we have amazing men also that are going to speak. So I think that we can start. We are really sharp. I'll start with telling everybody, whoever doesn't know who Keren Elazari is, but I'll say it anyway. So Keren is a security analyst, author, and TED speaker, the friendly hacker, and much more. I can tell you it's much more than that. She's going to speak about the ransom renaissance, what we can learn from hackers about malicious innovation. So Keren, the stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Romy. Hopefully everybody are able to see my presentation with the green and myself as well. Thank you for everybody for your lovely comments on the chat as well. Romy, just give me a thumbs up or a little notification to let me know that you can hear me and see me.
Yes.
Everybody? Okay, perfect. Let's go. So this session this morning is my opportunity to share with you what I like to refer to as the ransomware renaissance. Now, in the last couple of years as security professionals, but even as individuals, as consumers, as citizens online, we have heard about ransomware. But what is the concept of a renaissance in this context? A renaissance literally means a rebirth, some sort of a renewal. And it comes from the period in time of human history after medieval ages, where a lot of the humanities, the arts, the sciences came back to life. Today, I'm going to claim that ransomware operators and cybercriminal operators have been on a ransomware renaissance in the last few years. So are you with me? We're going to learn about the ransomware renaissance. We're going to learn about it from hackers, and we're going to understand what's going on in the world of ransomware and hackers. And I've been learning from hackers ever since I was a very young girl. In fact, I was here in sunny Tel Aviv when I asked my parents for a computer of my own and an internet connection. And I was lucky enough to receive that. In 1993, I was able to get on the internet, teaching myself everything about how the internet worked and how the World Wide Web worked by taking apart web pages and by connecting to other people's computers and looking around on different servers around the world. I was answering my many curious questions by essentially taking apart web pages and by going places I wasn't supposed to go. I didn't know it at the time, but so many of my activities were considered hacking. Only when I met my hacker mentor in 1995 did I realize hacking is what my life mission is all about. Her name, Angelina Jolie. Some of you might recognize her from the fantastic Hollywood film that came out in that year. I was instantly fascinated by that group of hackers. Angelina, as the high school hacker, was leading the group, and it was a really interesting group. It was a group of misfits, geeks and weirdos. And interestingly, I was a young girl at the time. I really connected not just with the curiosity for technology that these hackers had, but also with their motivations. Because, spoiler alert, these kids were not the criminals. In fact, if you haven't seen the movie, they're the ones who prevent an ecological catastrophe done by a ransomware virus. So yes, even in 1995, Hollywood imagined ransomware, but it also imagined the heroes, the hackers that can prevent that attack from happening. Ever since that time and throughout my career, almost 30 years now, since 1995, I have been fascinated by everything we can learn from hackers, from malicious hackers and from friendly hackers and hacker heroes. So this is my mission today. And I think the first lesson that we have all learned from hackers in the last 30 years is that it's all about access to data. It's not just about keeping data confidential. It's about accessing information, manipulating it, deleting it, removing it. And this is what criminals have realized in the last couple of years, especially since they've learned how to innovate and be more creative when it comes to our data. So today we're going to talk about ransomware from the perspective of how innovative and creative ransomware operations have been. And this is what I call malicious innovation. Now, as I mentioned, ransomware, I think this is one of the key topics for everybody in cybersecurity, but also for everyday individuals, because the last year, 2023, was actually the year where ransomware became a billion-dollar business. So check out this chart. Here we can actually see actual revenue. These are payments made in cryptocurrency transactions to different ransomware groups. And in 2023, it surpassed $1 billion. This year, 2024, we are expecting those numbers to even go up. So again, I want to highlight, these are not the estimated costs or the damages from a ransomware attack. These are the actual revenues, the profits that the ransomware criminals had received by cryptocurrency transactions. Now, if you notice that big red one, it's kind of hard to miss. That's LockBit, probably the king of ransomware in the last couple of years. So let's talk a little bit about LockBit and why it is so important in our story of the ransomware renaissance, because it is one of the innovators. LockBit did not invent, but they perfected a model for working with hackers around the world, a model that we can now call ransomware as a service. Many of us are familiar with software as a service, but in the case of LockBit and other ransomware groups, they've learned how to use a cloud-powered distribution model that basically allows core gang members the freedom to innovate and to create the best ransomware malware that they can, while recruiting other hackers that will actually deploy it, actually infect targets, and even negotiate with victims. At the end, those affiliates get to keep about 80% of the proceeds or the profits that they get, but they have to share 20% of that as a commission to the original developers. Now, this model has really helped LockBit succeed. It's also meant that LockBit was competing to recruit affiliates. So how do you recruit people in the last couple of years? How do you reach people? You do it on social media, of course. And LockBit gave YouTube interviews where they boasted about their success, and they spoke about how they want people to work with them, claiming that any company that's big enough to pay the ransom is a valid target. LockBit also did another thing which is interesting. So this is the LockBit ransom screen, and you can see that if a company is as unfortunate as some organizations are, this is the screen that will show up on many of their computers. But I want to bring something up. Let me highlight it for you. Some of the fine print. Would you like to earn millions of dollars? Our company requires access to the networks of various companies and organizations, as well as insider information. So what is happening here? What LockBit is doing is recruiting people to work with them from inside organizations that they've attacked. And they're trying to reach other people as well, because they know their screen, their lock screen, is going to be shared on social media. So basically, they're using that as free advertising. Another form of interesting advertising LockBit has decided to do is tattoos. Yes, these are actual tattoos of the LockBit logo. And the creator or the kingpin of LockBit, a person called LockBit Sup, actually offered payments of $1,000 in cryptocurrency to people who would put this tattoo on their body. And some people did. Now, you may have heard about LockBit going after incredibly big and very lucrative targets, organizations that are worth billions, like Boeing, for example, an aerospace giant, or ICBC Bank. Now, some of you may have never heard of ICBC, but this is actually a Chinese-owned trading and brokerage company. And they are, in fact, the largest lender in the world in terms of how many assets they have in lending, more than $20 billion, according to the US Treasury. So when this company, which is Chinese, gets hacked with LockBit, it can actually impact the American Treasury markets and the American finances. Now, another interesting target of LockBit was TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is one of the largest manufacturers of chips and microprocessors. Indeed, in the case of this attack, it was also one of the highest ever ransom demands, $70 million in ransom demand. Now, you'll notice another interesting fact about this ransom note. You can see it right here on the bottom left. There is a threat and there is a timer. So this is another reason LockBit was so successful. They have a countdown timer, and when people don't pay the ransom, they get the threat is realized, the threat of their files, their data published. So what is happening here is actually the double extortion technique, where criminals realize it's not just about taking away access to data, it's also about releasing that data to everybody else. Long story short, LockBit has been extremely successful. So successful, in fact, they even had the time to help out another criminal in need. So this is a screenshot from the ransomware support forums, where another criminal group called BlackCat is actually thanking LockBit for their support. And LockBit says, you're very welcome. We're always happy to help people close in spirit and profession. And in another post, LockBit says, today the FBI got him. Tomorrow they will get me. It can happen to anyone. Now, this is a really important post because it happened in December 2023, exactly after somebody went after BlackCat. So in December 2023, we actually experienced several lockdowns. But after that, in February of 2024, LockBit themselves were taken down by the FBI. So their darknet leak website was taken down. It was under control of law enforcement groups. Now, this is incredibly interesting because this was an incredible operation, law enforcement collaborations across the US, UK, Europe, and around the world, seizure of 200 cryptocurrency wallets, arrests of 2 individuals. In fact, here's just some of the information that the UK National Crime Agency has revealed: a recovery tool that's helping people recover from LockBit, a ban on LockBit SAP from the LockBit forums, a lot of information. Now, all of this happened in February, and yet the criminals were able to rebirth their operation. So just a day after this happened, LockBit SAP, the master of LockBit, actually came out with his own post explaining what happened, and even saying, I'm going to summarize it for you because it's 300 words, actually saying, due to my own personal negligence, I relaxed and did not update my PHP forum setup in time. So he's actually taking responsibility for the reason that his servers were owned by the FBI. Furthermore, he recovered and recreated the operation. And within days, there were already LockBit affiliates, people working with the LockBit ransomware as a service, that were launching attacks using a fresh new exploit for a vulnerability in something called Screen Connect. So let's double click on that for a moment. February 19, February 20, LockBit is taken down by the FBI. February 19, another thing happens on that same day, and the company ConnectWise issues a public statement about having 2 vulnerabilities in their remote connectivity product called Screen Connect, CVE 2024-1709 and CVE 2024-1708. These are the enumerations of these vulnerabilities. Within 48 hours from this happening, there were already several LockBit affiliates launching ransomware attacks, exploiting these vulnerabilities. So again, the vulnerabilities were released to the public, or the information about them was released to the public on February 19. By February 21st, there were already exploited attacks. So it seems like LockBit was able to be reborn, or were they? In May of this year, law enforcement decided to unmask the master of LockBit. Here he is in person, allegedly the master of LockBit, Dmitry Yurovich Khoroshev. If you know anything about his whereabouts, that's a 10 million bounty because he is still on the run. Now, what's really fascinating here is that all of this happened, this reveal happened during the RSA conference in San Francisco in the United States, and there was somebody else there, somebody who actually looks like this guy. Anybody recognize him? So this guy is not the master of LockBit. He's actually a security researcher called John, who was able to infiltrate into LockBit's operation. And in fact, John presented at DEF CON in Las Vegas this August, explaining how he befriended and then revealed or doxed all the information about the leader of LockBit's gang. If you're curious to learn more about John's very courageous and dangerous efforts undercover at LockBit, you can actually head on over to the Ransomware Diaries not right now, after this event is done, but you can head on over to the ransomware diaries on analyst1.com, and you can see this entire map of how John uncovered all of the information about Dimitri and LockBit's operation. Now, all of this happened in August and in May, but another thing happened this year. In March, right after that first takedown, another group came up calling itself Dispossessor, claiming that they have information about some of LockBit's victims. Now, more recently, just last month, in fact, the FBI has taken down this website by Repossessed or by Dispossessor. And some people are claiming this is yet another activity by LockBit by under a different name. So this type of rebranding, where a ransomware group will come up with a new name, is actually a classic move. Remember BlackCat that I mentioned from that forum post in December? So who is BlackCat? Some people also refer to this group as ALPHV. This is how they refer to themselves, but they use a BlackCat in their logo. And you might have heard about them because in September of last year, they went after MGM and Caesars Entertainment, two of the largest casino and gambling establishments in the United States. And in both of these cases, they were successful with the ransomware. And in one of these cases, they also walked away with a pretty big ransomware payment. Now, what's unique about BlackCat is that they are incredibly innovative, technically speaking. So first of all, their ransomware can encrypt VMware ESXi hypervisors, which means it can encrypt 100 hypervisors, thereby basically taking down or locking down an entire business operation because of all of the applications and the virtual servers that are running on these hypervisors. Another thing is that BlackCat uses intermittent encryption, which allows their ransomware to only encrypt little pieces and bits of files or even just specific file types. And that allows for a much faster ransomware encryption process, which is a lot harder to stop or to detect. So this is another innovation. Another thing that BlackCat did, and this is how they got both into MGM and Caesars, is do something called voice phishing or vishing, where they actually had somebody call a support center with a perfect English accent, masquerading as one of the IT administrators in the company. And they were able to answer all the questions and get all the information that was needed to reset a super administrator account. So this was part of that successful attack. Now, another really interesting fact about BlackCat is that they didn't do this alone. In fact, they had somebody with perfect English help them out. So in the case of the hacks of MGM and Caesars, BlackCat, an organized ransomware group from Russia, collaborated with American and UK-based teenage hackers known as the COM, or Scattered Spider, which is another nickname the industry has given them. So this is really unique because you don't necessarily see this every day. American teenage hackers working with Russian organized criminals. In fact, the FBI has even called this a Gen Z cyber criminal ecosystem. But don't get fooled by the teenage Gen Z headline. These are extremely knowledgeable individuals. And there have been some arrests of these kids. Some of them are also calling them Zoomers because they went to high school on Zoom during the COVID pandemic. But they're extremely technical. And from the arrests, we also know that they have a lot of knowledge and information on how to navigate, exploit, and hack all of these cloud platforms and many others. So BlackCat was taken down. Remember that blog post? After going after MGM and Caesars, the FBI was somehow able to infiltrate their infrastructure and take down their website. But again, just within a few days, the cat had 9 lives, and they were able to be reborn and to come back up with a new website, a new darknet internet address. As you can see here, they have a BlackCat in their logo, but their nickname is ALPHV. So these names are both used to talk about them. So how many lives does this BlackCat actually have? Let's take a look a little bit about their, let's call it the family tree of BlackCat. Some researchers have been able to trace the origins for some of the operators or the people developing BlackCat, all the way back to a criminal group called GandCrab that was really active in 2017, 18, and 19. Now, GandCrab officially retired, as you can see in this blog post, claiming that after they made more than $2 billion for their affiliates and personal profits of $150 million, they have decided to retire from crime. This is what they said in 2019. However, many people believe they simply evolved their operations into another group called REvil, which was going after a lot of targets during the COVID pandemic. And REvil contributed their operators and some of their tactics and their tools to another group called Dark Side and Black Matter, whom you might remember from a very famous attack on the American colonial pipeline. And now, eventually this year, we learn from none other than LockBit, our friend from before, that BlackCat just might be a rebranding for Dark Side or Black Matter. Now, we may not be able to verify this entire family tree and heritage, but I can tell you with certainty that hackers do collaborate. But sometimes their collaborations leads to very interesting results. So earlier this year, in 2024, despite the alleged takedown by the FBI in December, they actually went after a big healthcare provider in the United States called United Health and Change Healthcare. Now, if you heard about this ransomware attack, it actually prevented people from getting their medications delivered to them at pharmacies. And it disrupted so many people's lives in the United States. Now, what you might not have heard is that the ransomware demand was over $20 million. And here is the actual Bitcoin transaction. So this is the actual proof that company paid the ransom to BlackCat. A single transaction of nearly 350 Bitcoins totaling more than $20 million US. What was really interesting is that after this happened, suddenly, a few days later, again, the website of BlackCat seems to be seized. And this is not the clear website. Of course, this is the darknet website where they conduct business with other affiliates. But it looked like it was seized again. So what is happening here? Allegedly, BlackCat recycled the image from the FBI's takeover in 2023. But this time, they only did it to fake their exit. So they collected the 20-something million dollars, and then they walked away with the money without paying the 80% that they were supposed to pay to their affiliates. So there is no honor among thieves. And in fact, just very recently, we learned from an American cybersecurity advisory by CISA, the American Cybersecurity Agency, that some actors working with BlackCat might actually be Iranian-based threat actors, where they are launching ransomware attacks, and they don't necessarily tell BlackCat or the other hackers they're working with that they are based in Iran. So this group has been called Pioneer Kitten by researchers, and it has been masquerading as or working together with BlackCat. So just a quick summary before we go towards the ending and some of the conclusions from all of this. BlackCat and LockBit were the top players. And as you can see, they have a lot of qualities that really qualify as a renaissance. They are reinventing their product, they're reinventing their operations all the time. But of course, they're not the only ones. And now that those two big players, LockBit and BlackCat, are on the run, well, the groups like Clop, Play, and Akira are all trying to find their spot as the #1 or maybe top 5 ransomware group. So you might remember Clop again from 2023, where they were extremely successful in hacking a lot of companies, including many famous British brands like the BBC, Boots, and British Airways. And in that case, it was through a supply chain vulnerability. So they were able to find a vulnerability or to exploit a vulnerability in a file transfer product called MoveIt by a company called Progress. And they found an exploit working against this file transfer product. With that, they got into the systems of a company called Zealous, who is actually a payment provider. And from Zealous, they got into at least 8 other UK organizations, including the BBC and British Airways. All told, people estimate that Clop went after more than 100 targets using that specific MoveIt IT file transfer exploit. So they were incredibly successful, and they are still very active. The second group I mentioned is a group called Play. And in 2023, Play used a supply chain attack to go after a Swiss company called Explain, which actually provides software to Swiss federal administration and Swiss municipalities. And this particular attack led to other attacks on many Swiss national institutions and municipalities. Now, this is a little bit surprising because Switzerland is usually considered neutral, but you have to remember there is also a geopolitical context here. So when Play, specifically in that time of year when Play was going after those Swiss companies and targets, it was exactly when the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, was set to give a speech in Switzerland. So this was at least part of that motivation for Play. More recently, Play has gone after one of the only microchip manufacturers in the United States, Microchip Technology. And again, this was a massive ransomware attack. It just took place a couple weeks ago. We still don't know the full extent of it, but at least from this report, which is the official report the company has to submit because they are traded on NASDAQ, we know that company information, employee information was indeed breached. Now, I also mentioned a group called Akira. Akira is really interesting because they're not like any of the other ransomware groups. First of all, they have this kind of cool looking 80s vibe. So this is their design that they chose. It also seems like they have a little bit of a sense of humor where they say they're offering people to enjoy the juiciest information that corporations around the world want to stay confidential. But they've also gone after targets like Studio Daniel Libeskind, which is an architecture firm, very famous, but not a billion-dollar company. And they also went after Stanford University. So this is really interesting where they choose their targets, and it feels like they're choosing targets that are kind of really high-profile names, not necessarily big business. Another interesting fact we know about Akira is that Akira is actually connected to a now defunct or closed ransomware group called Conti. So again, blockchain transactions provide us the crucial clues of the relationships. And through tracking blockchain transactions, we can see the financial infrastructure that actually connects Akira, a new ransomware group, with Conti, which is a ransomware group that was extremely active during the COVID pandemic and before that. So this is really fascinating. The credit for this research goes to Arctic Wolf. I want to mention one more new player before we summarize this ransomware renaissance, a new up-and-coming group called Ransom Hub. And as you can see, they are only interested in dollars. This is their official claims, and this is their logo. They don't really bother with special designs or logos, as you can see. And very specifically, they do not allow attacks on Cuba, North Korea, China, or CIS countries. For those unaware, CIS is the former Commonwealth of Independent States, which is another way to delineate countries that were previously part of the USSR. So this is a really interesting group, but there's one thing in common to many of these groups, as you understood, that national affiliation, and many of them are either based in Russia or they don't allow attacks on Russian and post-Soviet countries. If you want more information about ransomware and Ransom Hub, check out this CISA advisory. It is really quite recent from just a couple of days ago. So as I try to wrap things up, as it's almost my time to finish, I'll also be happy to answer your questions by the chat. And I'll also give you a link where you can reach out to me and ask me further questions and get my newsletter. But before that, a brief summary. What would the next phase of a ransomware renaissance look like? In the last year alone, we saw LockBit, Play, and Ransom Hub reinvent themselves. We saw BlackCat rebrand, do a scam exit, and then maybe come back with another name. We saw an increase in how many active ransomware groups there are. In fact, more than a 50% increase compared to last year. Ransomware as a service is a growing model that allows many ransomware groups to launch more targets. And we saw a really interesting case that we still don't know all the details, where one group that doesn't advertise itself at all, a group called Dark Angels, actually received a payment of $75 million, again in cryptocurrency, from an unnamed Fortune 100 company. So who's that company? We may never find out, but I think we're going to see more of these huge payouts. More and more companies are deciding to pay the ransom, unfortunately. My recommendation is not to pay the ransom, but more and more companies are doing that. And if we also consider all of the different things ransomware groups are doing, a scalable cloud-powered ransomware as a service model, a global footprint going after targets around the world, very creative revenue streams, as you saw, with their different extortion threats and tactics, evolution of their actual product with technical innovations, with different attack vectors, collaborating, doing voice phishing, technical innovations like intermittent encryption, fast and wide deployment, and going after a vulnerability to create an exploit within days, and the co-opetition model where sometimes they collaborate, sometimes they compete, sometimes they even scam the other hackers. So what's going on here? All of this can be described as fearless innovation. And while there are some solutions out there to prevent ransomware, I really want us to think about how we can evolve our own strategies. If you're still thinking about how cybersecurity used to look like 3 years ago or even 5 years ago, I think we really need to take a page from the hacker's book. We really have to employ the hacker mindset. And we have to understand how these groups work. There is actually incredible adaptability and resilience in the criminal ecosystem. And we need these qualities. We need to build adaptability and resilience into our cybersecurity ecosystem as well. Now is not a time to stay put, keep calm, and carry on and do things like we did previously. And I want to thank you for your time. And before I end, I want to remind you that you can visit me online. You can scan this QR code or go to this website, and the link will also be available in the chat. And you can share your feedback for my presentation, share your details, and you can sign up to my newsletter as well. I'm going to be available on the chat to answer some of your questions very soon. But before that, thank you and stay safe. Back to you, Romy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there are actually 2 questions. Would you like to answer now or later on?
Sure. Yes, if you're the MC, if we have time for that, let's do it.
Yeah. The first question is, hi, Keren. Would you consider this conference targets audience to be technophiles with years of experience or people new to the field? I'm here for low-level material and would like to just like a high-level overview of the agenda.
Okay, well, I recommend you check out the website where you can see the entire agenda for today's event. And perhaps Romy, Eyal, or Zvika can put the agenda link in the chat. And when it comes to my content, thank you for asking. I try to provide more technical content. So as a security researcher, my talks, my content online is designed to be somewhat technical. It's not just low level or high level. I would say it's mid-level. And you can find many more of my talks on YouTube as well, including my famous TED Talk, watched by millions. And I've got a few more that are perhaps more accessible for a general audience, but I also have more technical content as well. And if you follow this QR code that I mentioned, I'll be able to send my more technical analysis, exclusive previews for any new reports that I'm doing, and information to other events where I'm speaking. Thanks for the question.
Great, and also we are going to put some of the recording in the Presale One website, so you can also look there. Jason asked, how do we defend against these emergencies?
Great. So I have a few ideas, actually. I'm going to take the chance to share with you some good news because I like that question. First of all, I do recommend you check out this website called nomoreransom.org. On nomoreransom.org, you can actually find decryptors for a lot of the popular ransomware groups out there. So these would actually help you if you are attacked by any of these brands. There's also more mitigation advice there. However, please be advised, this is more like a cure. It's not a vaccine. If we want to be vaccinated against ransomware, we have to take an ecosystem approach. And I know that later today, you'll hear from people from Google and from other companies that can offer us some strategies and some ideas. But I do think it is about an ecosystem approach. It is about building our immunity, our digital immune system. And it's also about not paying ransomware. So this would really help stop or curb the success of this form of cybercrime if more countries and more people stopped actually paying the ransomware groups. I hope that answered your questions. Thank you, Romy.
Thank you very much. So we'll proceed just to be able to be on time. So thank you, Keren. We will check the other questions at the end of the presentation. And now we're going to hear Gabrielle Botbol, ethical hacker, award-winning pen tester, and she will speak about, is AI the future of cybersecurity education? So hello, Gabrielle.
Hello, can you all hear me properly?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen. Do you see? Yes, I seem to be perfect.
Great. We see you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
We see you and we hear you.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. It's morning for me, so I'm based in Canada. It's a pleasure to be here and to explore a pivotal question. Is AI the future of cybersecurity education? So let's dive into how cybersecurity education has evolved and consider its future trajectory, especially in light of the increasing integration of AI and the critical role of soft skills. Because in this digital age, the evolution of cybersecurity from self-taught necessity to structured academic discipline kind of raises profound questions. How can we merge traditional learning with the transformative capabilities of AI without losing the human touch that underpins ethical decision-making and creativity? So initially, cybersecurity emerged from an urgent need to protect digital frontiers, and early professionals were mavericks, learning from hands-on experience rather than formal education. So this trend of self-directed learning continues today, despite the proliferation of formal qualifications. And so this deep-seated culture of self-learning and adaptation still remains at the heart of cybersecurity, and often it's outpacing formal educational frameworks. So modern cybersecurity education boasts robust programs and certifications, yet struggles to bridge the gap between academic theory and practical needs. So the landscape is rich with opportunities, yet hindered by an educational disconnect from the real-world application, and specifically in soft skills like communication, ethical judgment, and teamwork. And these skills are crucial, and it's not just for executing technical tasks, but for leading, influencing, and innovating within the field. So AI, with its ability to simulate complex cyber threats and personalized learning, promises significant advancement in cybersecurity education. However, its potential is tempered by ethical concerns and the risk of over-reliance, which could stifle the critical thinking and adaptability essential in cybersecurity. So how do we balance AI's capabilities with its limitations to truly enhance educational outcomes? And moreover, how can AI be leveraged to foster rather than replace the creative and ethical dimensions of cybersecurity work? So as we fold AI into the fabric of our educational systems, the cultivation of soft skills becomes not just beneficial, but imperative. We must perceive AI as a catalyst that augments these skills rather than a substitute that diminishes their necessity. So cybersecurity experts must be adept not only at maneuvering through technical landscape, but also at harnessing AI's insight to refine their ability to interpret, adapt, and innovate. And so this dual capability challenges us to reconceptualize our approach to AI in education. So is AI merely a tool for enhancing efficiency, or can it act as a collaborative partner in nurturing professionals who are holistic, inventive, and ethically attuned? As AI navigates increasingly complex challenges, the importance of human-centric skills such as critical thinking, adaptability, communication, creativity, and problem-solving really escalates. So in response to the crucial role of these durable skills in cybersecurity, I developed what you can see on the screen, the Wheel of Durable Skills. So this tool serves to recognize and assess the enduring skills that professionals need in their toolkit, ensuring their relevance and effectiveness in an AI integrating landscape. So it's aimed to be collaborative, and it's designed to evolve through communal input, and in order to reflect our collective commitment to continuous learning and adaptation. So you can find it on my Git book, and you have the link here. And if you want to contribute, it's done for this. So as we stand at the crossroads of AI integration in cybersecurity education, we must not lose sight of the profound questions this intersection raises. The rapid advancements in technology, coupled with the increasing complexity of our digital landscape, demand more than just technical prowess. They call for a deeper and more reflective approach to how we educate and prepare the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. So philosophy, often overlooked in the tech world, offers a unique lens through which we can address the ethical and societal implications of AI. And so as we integrate AI into education, we must ensure that we are not merely producing efficient technologies, but cultivating thinkers who can critically assess the impact of their work on society. And moreover, the evolving demands of our protections now requires us to be more than just technically skilled. We need to develop what I call durable skills. So it's competencies like critical thinking, like adaptability, like communication, and problem solving that will enable us to thrive in an AI-driven world. So these skills are not just add-ons. They are essential for creating solutions that are both innovative and ethically sound. So in closing, as we embrace AI in cybersecurity education, let us do so with a balanced approach. So one that leverages the power of AI while also deeply valuing the human-centric skills that will ultimately determine our success. And so by fostering a collaborative and reflective mindset, we can ensure that our use of AI not only advances our technical capabilities, but also contribute to a more thoughtful, ethical, and sustainable future in cybersecurity. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Gabrielle. It was very insightful. Are there any questions for Gabrielle? Okay, well, you know what? We'll save them for the end. Okay. And now we'll pass to the next speaker, Pierluigi Paganini. We can't hear you, Pierluigi.
You're on mute.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Ciao.
Ciao.
Finally, we meet each other.
Mr. Paganini, please share your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen right now.
Ciao Paganini, ciao Pierluigi.
Hi, thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So let me say a few words about you. So Pierluigi is the CEO of at Cyber Hours, and he's an ENISA member. He's going to talk about today the evolution of nation-state hacking, a deep dive into geopolitics and cyber threats. I'm really curious to hear about you, about your presentation. I follow you, as you know. So go ahead. Enjoy.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
See your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, today we discuss about nation-state activities. First of all, we have to understand what we mean when we speak about nation-state activities. I'm not able to scroll the screen.
Can you please make it in a slideshow, please?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't get both of you.
What I'm saying is I'm not able to go on a slideshow.
You're not able to see the slideshow. Okay.
No.
Okay, so just a second, we'll take it in privately. Pierluigi?
Yeah, sure.
Can you
Yeah,
move
Luigi, the trick to do it is that first you start a slideshow and then you start the screen
Okay.
share.
Okay.
So stop the screen share, start
Yeah,
the
sure.
slideshow, and then you choose the correct window for the
Okay.
presentation.
That's the hot fix.
That's the hot fix, yes. This is what I usually do. By the way, this technique also works on Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and every other platform. But today we are very happy to be hosted by Google. So thank you, Google, for hosting us on Google Meet. Okay, hopefully, Pierre, now you are able to do it. So you have to first start a slideshow before you start.
It seems doesn't work. It seems not work.
Okay.
Okay. In the meanwhile, let's see, okay, if there are any questions. Okay, I see that there are people that knows already Pierluigi also. Okay, there is a question, Keren, if you want in the meanwhile maybe to take it. What can I do to get into the cybersecurity world as a BCS computer science graduate? I didn't have courses of the field on my syllabus.
Sure. So there are a lot of people out there sharing content about how to get into cybersecurity. I just recommend taking the time to view some YouTube talks, to view some presentations. Pierluigi from Security Affairs has some amazing content. And here I see his slideshow is up, so I'm going to give it back to him.
Okay. Go ahead.
Good luck.
We can't hear you now. Oh, I see myself a lot of times.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
We will speak about nation-state hacking. First of all, let's give a definition. What do we mean when we speak about nation-state activities, nation-state activities? Well, we refer the cyber operations that are carried out by government-linked groups or agency, intelligence agency. These activities are usually conducted further to a nation interest, so geopolitical interest, economic interest, and military objectives. Well, nation-state actors, nation-state hackers are typically well-founded and well-resourced actors. So which is the context that we are approaching? The battlefield is the cyberspace. The cyberspace is the new battlefield. The cyber armies are the hackers. So the hackers are the modern soldiers. The cyber weapons are the new weapons in the arsenal. So we are speaking about hacking tools, malware, and other components that are zero-day exploit that are components of a modern arsenal. And which are the targets? Potentially, we are all targets, but most important targets are organization, critical infrastructures, and also universities, as we see. We will see also that we need a legal framework in order to approach the contest. We are assisting to a phenomenon that is known as the militarization of cyberspace, which means that the cyberspace is a new domain of operation, is new domain of warfare. And it was also recognized by NATO during the Varsavia summit in July 2016. Well, the cyberspace is the fifth domain of warfare. Cyber operation can be both kinetic and not kinetic. This means that it can cause physical destruction, and they can also be used to gather intelligence, to spy on organization, individual, and government entities. The conflict is asymmetric and instantaneous. Another aspect that we have to consider when we analyze cyberspace as a battlefield is that we can launch an attack from everywhere in every time, also in peacetime. And this is very important because many of the conflicts that are ongoing are not public, and we are observing a lot of attacks on both sides in order to understand what's happened also between the two countries. There is the most important aspect is the difficult attribution of cyber attacks in cyberspace. That's why cyber attacks are a good option for nation-state actors. There is a reduced investment to conduct a cyber attacks compared with a normal strike, for example. And we are also observing new players in the cyber arena. Let's think, for example, to Iran, Vietnam, or North Korea, which are the main activity associated to nation-state actors. Probably the most important activity is associated with cyber espionage. Which are the countries that are more active in cyber espionage operation? For sure, we have Russia, China, and North Korea. Without giving back in the time, let's see just a couple of weeks ago what was happened in the mainstream. Well, we observed at least 3 massive cyber espionage campaigns that were carried out by China-linked threat actors. I'm speaking about both Typhoon, APT, Velvet Ants, and also Herzbaku. These are 3 APT groups, advanced, persistent threats. But we are also observing emerging threats from Iran and Vietnam that are increasing their cyber capability. We observed in the past also sabotage operation. In this case, United States, Russia, Iran, and North Korea are most advanced. Just to give you an example, we all know about the cyber attacks that more than 10 years ago, the Iran conducted against Saudi Aramco, that is the oil giant, disrupting 10,000 of systems of the company. But we also know about cyber attacks that were carried out in Ukraine by Russia-linked threat actors, and also the massive WannaCry ransomware that was also a cyber operation. But one of the most scaring aspects today of nation-state activity is the cyber operation conducted with disinformation purposes. The most active countries are Russia and China. Probably the next presidential campaign are the privileged target of this information campaign. We are observing also another dangerous trend. Iran is rapidly enhancing its cyber capability, and it's intensifying its effort, probably preparing massive attacks against the presidential campaign. One of the aspects that we have considered in this moment is the generative AI. Generative AI can allow threat actors to create realistic fake content and also deep fakes that can be used in massive and large-scale disinformation campaign, and are making this campaign even more dangerous and even more automated. So it's very easy for threat actors to prepare this disinformation campaign. But we also observed the threat actors using cyber activities for fundraising purposes. I'm speaking about North Korea. North Korea used to target banks and also cryptocurrency industry in order to raise funds that are later used in cyber operation, also in conventional military strikes and funding. We also observed what we call the collateral effects. So when we speak about cyber attacks, we cannot ignore the implication, the effects of these attacks when carried out by nation-state actors. Just to give you an example, let's analyze what has happened with the Stuxnet attacks that was carried out in 2010. It was an attack that was carried out by Israel and US, and the exploit that was used, that basically was targeting a specific Windows flow, was observed in the wild, used by many other threat actors. Consider that between November 2013 and June 2014, the same exploit was used 15 million times in attacks. And it's very dangerous. Consider also another case, the WannaCry attacks, okay? In that case, a specific exploit that was called Eternal Blue. It was an exploit that was stolen by the intelligence agency, US intelligence agency, NSA, by the shadow brokers hackers was used to create a specific weapon, WannaCry, that was rapidly propagating thanks to the Eternal Blue exploit. So hacking tools and malware are becoming the new weapons. They are effective as stealth like conventional weapon. They can escape sanction because it's different to understand if a specific country is preparing a specific weapon. The cost to prepare this weapon is reduced if we can imagine, for example, the cost that we have to spend to use to prepare a weapon that can be a jet fighter or similar weapon. And the preparation phase is very stealth. This means that we are speaking now, but probably 10 persons all over the world are collaborating in order to create a new cyber weapon. And cyber weapon can be used as a complementary to a conventional military strikes. Let's consider, for example, a military operation that uses cyber weapon in order to create interference with transportation, telecommunication, defense, and so on. The problem is that cyber weapon can also be abused by minor states. When I'm speaking about minor states, I'm speaking about countries like Iran or North Korea that are very aggressive. They have the economic power of China, Russia, and the United States, but they are developing capability to create a cyber weapon. And the magic ingredients for cyber weapons are 0 day vulnerability that are known at the time of the attacks. So if you are able to access to 0 day, you are able also to create powerful cyber weapon. Hackers are modern soldiers. Specifically, we refer APT groups, advanced persistent threat actors, sophisticated group that works inside governments. Sometimes they are specific unit of the cyber army of governments. They are well founded. They are very active. The most active APT groups are from China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. And some of these groups has more than 10 years history. This means that they have a lot of experience. They have increased the efficiency of their tactics or procedure over the time. Here I just proposed a list of the China-linked APT groups, Iran, North Korea. One of the issues that we have to consider that also hacking community can be used as a sort of weapon, because nation-state actors can infiltrate the nation-state community, hacking community, and involve them in visionary cyber attacks. For example, like with a mask of activists, they can ask to create a DDoS against a defense organization, or for example, arrange a specific campaign. They can be involved in PSYOPs, psychological operation through social media. So they can be used to carry out specific attacks. Who are the targets? The targets, as I said before, are critical infrastructures, universities, embassies, security experts, and also high technology companies. Basically, every organization that has a huge, important intellectual properties. For this reason, we need norm of responsibility state behavior in cyberspace. When I was a member of G7 working group 7 years ago, I worked to a sort of norms of state behavior in cyberspace. It was formalized with the declaration of Lucca, but it was accepted by the president only in non-mandatory form. We proposed also a sort of triage for the offensive cyber capability. This is just to share with you my experience. Let's close my presentation with a few highlights that we have to follow, in my opinion, in order to improve the resilience of global infrastructure worldwide. We have to improve the collaboration between the public and the private organization with the massive information sharing. We have to increase security awareness. We have to improve threat intelligence. We have to define a shared law framework. But when I say shared, it means that we have extended the same law framework on a global scale. We need compliance with the standard regulation. We need strong privacy regulation, and we have to create also the condition for future legislation that must assure resilience and security, but also privacy of the individuals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pierluigi. It was a pleasure listening to you, and I hope that we'll meet soon in Naples.
Yeah, sure, for sure. I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we're going to hear Benny Falach.
Hi, Romy.
Hi, nice to meet you. So Benny is the CEO of Magen AI, and he's going to speak today about transforming security by AI, managed and unified security approach. So, Benny, go ahead if you need something. Okay, you're
Okay. Okay, I'm on. So listen good. So my name is Benny. Thank you, Eyal. Thank you, Romy, for the opportunity. Thank you, Priscilla One. So this is the first time for me, and after Pierluigi presentation, Keren presentation, I'm a little bit more concerned, about the world we are acting. So I hope to give you some, positive, presentation about how we can protect using some multiple technologies in order to, be safe and, the corporates and partners that work with us. So just let me know if my slide is moving. Just a second. No, just a second. Wait. Okay. So what is Magen? Magen, it's a protector, it's a shield, it's a Hebrew word that actually our goal and aim is to have business continuity. So business continuity is like a big word, but having a lot of cyber tools and cyber protection techniques, and the industry is pretty much, occupied by a lot of meaningful, vendors, resellers, providers, consultants, IT providers. But the end game is that, business just want to continue working. Now, our goal at Magen, it's been evolving throughout the years. And, I've seen a lot of corporates, you see the guy on the screen, with the headache, a lot of corporates, choosing not to invest in cybersecurity. Actually, they are not aware, and they see the risk flags all over in the news for consumers, the phishing, they see the ransomware, issues that Keren was talking about. And actually, they are ignoring it. But believe me, when they go to sleep, they have an headache, and they are very concerned. Now, on the opposite side, I see a lot of enterprises and a lot of corporates which are doing heavy investments in cyber. They invest in, awareness. They invest in firewalls, in endpoints. It's a never-ending game for business continuity, but then they like for operational aspects, skills, certifications, training, staff. So that's a different ball game of a headache. Now, again, Magen is not a magic pill for solving your headache, but we're trying to do things differently. So a little bit about myself. I've been working 11 years at Fortinet as an engineering manager in Europe, as a country manager for quite a while. And, Fortinet actually conquered the SMB, SME market with a unified approach of having a firewall and everything to be on the perimeter. And yeah, we want to be protected. So we put everything within the firewall. Antivirus, anti-malware, WAF, DNS, IPS, a lot of engines. But, this was true for, 10, 15 years ago, because today the threat landscape and the, emerging threats are not just in the perimeter, are not just in the branch or in the data center. Organization used to be pretty well structured. And today it's a different ballgame. So even an SMB or an SME or an enterprise, work from anywhere, from any device, any type of user, and actually getting data and getting these applications working done in many, many applications. So we've come up with a concept that today we are on the third generation, and I just want to describe to you what we had been doing for the last few years. So Magen is part of a publicly traded company named Excel, traded in the Israeli Stock Exchange, valued in hundreds of millions, operating in more than 20 countries. So, and the goal is to provide managed services in a different approach. So at the first generation of Magen, we actually gathered some premium brands because we rely on some, big brands that have the big research teams like SentinelOne, like Netscope, like Wiz, like KnowBe4, Perception Point, some really, really good companies that were evolving from the enterprise landscape. And what we did in the first generation is that we engaged them and made them accessible even to lower end customers, medium enterprises, even SMBs, to have a consumption-based approach. I call it the Netflix model. Consume what you use and pay what you use for any service that you want. So the first generation was just delivering the service along with our managed services. But then our corporates, customers, providers, partners wanted something more. So the second generation actually goes to the unified approach. So we were able to plug in all these modules, all these connectors that are being sold through Magen Marketplace into a unified console. Now, this unified console that every customer can view his status is able to view the licensing usage. It may sound weird, and not a lot of corporates control their licensing scheme. So it's the license status, it's the health status of the device, if it's working. Believe me, a lot of customers buy devices, buy solutions, and it's not really operational or maintained. So the health, it's like a short summary dashboard that we are able to aggregate all the tools of the corporate. And if I'm a partner of Magen and I'm managing few customers, I have a complete multi-tenancy where I can view all the tools in a single dashboard, their health, their status, their connectivity, and actually the threats that are coming all over. Now, we did that in order to give our providers and customers a glance view of what's going on within the tools that they purchased and they believe they are protected. Now, this was not enough, because no one really looks 24/7 on the dashboard. So we needed to make something more unique. So reporting. Now, every system has reporting, but I don't believe that many systems have a unified report that takes all the connectors, put them in a single report with AI embedded within the report in order to put the focus on where the threats are. So if I'm using KnowBe4 as part of the tools, and I'm having some top responders, awareness is a very important thing today. You can have many tools, but awareness is the end game, because if the user clicked something, then we are in an issue. So if I'm having a top responder in the company, I will see it in the report and I'll make some clauses. But if I'm having some focus clickers, someone that fails a test over and over, I don't need the system to show me a score and the ratio. This is for the administrators. But if I'm like an executive, or if I'm a general administrator, I want to see particularly who are the person that needs to be handled and trained more. Same goes for any other tool. So if I would see more infections for specific employee within utilizing Sentinel-1 engine, I will try to enhance his health on the PC. Now, in order to support this backend mechanism, front-end mechanism, we needed to improve our backend, and this is actually the third generation of Magen development. So we created a complete multi-tenancy approach. So for any provider to manage not just the front end of the corporates, but also the backend. So we actually taking, you'll see in a second, all the alerts coming all over from the different tools, from the different products, and we are aggregating them into a data lake that we control and have some multi-tenancy to segregate between the providers and the customers. Now, this has come to us, because we cannot scale in too many employees that will be looking in, we have almost 1,000 corporates connected to the platform already globally. And, we cannot scale to hundreds of employees, monitoring systems and maintaining our providers and corporates. So we needed to invest in some cool orchestration and automation techniques. And this became a core value of our service. So the orchestration and automation would deal, and I'm giving you just two examples of what we're doing. One in the investigation, because we have many partners, many providers that are doing, the analyst game, tier 1, tier 2, but even if you have the best products in the world, the noise that they are generating, it's huge. If I'm an analyst and I'm having a list of alerts coming all over from the 365, from the Salesforce, from the firewall, from the Sentinel-1, from, it's getting a flood. We want to ease the investigation process. And the second challenge that we've seen, and I think Keren was discussing about a major threat that was in progress, we've seen the data that was once coming to corporates in a I call it in a manual approach. You had in the DMZ your file transfer solution. You would get files into the corporate through a standard way. You would be investing in encryption, authentication. Data would be flying. Yeah, but this is right 10 years ago, 5 years ago, because today corporates, the data is all over. It's in the Salesforce, it's in the Monday, omni-channel systems, Twilio, the main dynamics, automatic mechanism. Data is coming all over. And the old-fashioned platforms are actually lacking the multi-scanning and security scanning of the data itself. And this is why when we have file transfer solution, that data is, most of the data is getting in. Maybe you have an antivirus or a DLP attached to it, but it's, on a certain place. So what we've done on the back end, we have incorporated some LLM technologies. Why is that? First of all, in order to support dynamically a never-ending game of vendors where they change their APIs frequently. Why? Because in order to support new fields, in order to support new mechanisms, so we needed to enhance the ability to connect to different products in different categories, like XDRs, firewall, WAFs, applications. So we needed to enhance the product connectors in order to train the model. Like in 24 hours, we almost can support any API. So it can be Magen connectors that are embedded within the platform. And I'll tell you a secret, it can be any connector that a corporate already invested, that the provider that is doing already invested, even if he has a local or a SaaS-based SIEM service. So at the end of the game, we'll give, I call it the analyst view, whether it's on the corporate or the reseller, to view all the alerts coming from all the tools, from the SIEM, and having an automated case management and investigation with the ability, first of all, to view the alert, compare it to MITRE, see the storyline, have even an AI bot within, you can see it on the top corner, where we can question, not everyone were born analysts in different levels. Now we can ask in different languages, what's the issue is all about, how it affects my network. Have you seen this asset being involved in other cases? So this will simplify the investigation of the alert. Now, what's unique here, a lot of SIEMs and SOCs have orchestration systems, but most of them are not multi-tenant. Most of them are very, very expensive. Incorporating AI as a mechanism is very expensive because you need to buy it for every tool. And here we bring a glance overview from above in order to ease the administrators how to deal with the investigation of the issues. Now, again, we cannot handle everything manually, so we have a playbook mechanism deployed on the platform to assist with the incidents management, but as well, this playbook will be able to trigger anything for a product connected to it. So even if we have, we have like a Cloudflare company accounts, we have companies that wanted to trigger a playbook if a user logged in to a corporate and you want to check if he has a ZKNA agent and if he's authenticated correctly or something related to compliance. So you can create your own playbook here for any application that you have. Now, in the upcoming versions, for a simplified approach, you will have an AI bot that you will tell him, okay, please create me a playbook doing this and that, and this flow chart will be created. So the goal for orchestration on the first thing was to ease the administration for our partners and big corporates in order to deal with all these alerting coming all over and flooding our systems. Along with the front end that our corporates see the health of the status. But from data perspectives, again, I told you we were dealing with orchestration for investigation and the data. Now, data, as you know, flying all over. It's coming from the cloud, it's coming from manual file transfer solutions, it's coming from industrial network within the corporate, it's coming, it's going. So what we did behind the scene, we've taken these product connectors that we have, you know, for the security tools. So either coming from our SaaS service, you know, multi-scanning technologies for multi-AV sandboxing, sanitization, machine learning, CPU-level scanning technologies. But let's say our partner already invested in some kind of a sandbox, or he has a CrowdStrike API, or whatever API that you want to utilize, or a corporate already invested in OpsWAT or in Checkpoint, whatever. We plug it into the platform, and we can create a flow policy that is able to scan any data transfer. Data transfer that can be manual file upload through a portal, for a workspace, a safe, SFTP, agent, WhatsApp, email, everything within this XFT engine, which is the extended file transfer mechanism with all the multi-scanning incorporated for that flow. But if in the same corporate, you have SaaS applications and you want to connect it using a synchronous API, like you have an omni-channel platform in the organization where your consumers are, you know, connecting through WhatsApp and then engaging the bot and uploading files. So you need something fast. You know, you cannot use ICAP, you cannot use old protocols. So the platform supports SaaS scanning applications, Google Storage, Azure Blob, SharePoint, whatever. Now, moving forward, we have understood that there are some scenarios that are pretty much important to our customers that needs to control the data transfer along with the security scanning for IT-OT connectivity. Why? Because the OT network is more sensitive and needs actually some more scanning for the updates coming from out there, from suppliers, from the internet. And even plug in your old file transfer solution, which is pretty good on the specific lane, but we need to multi-scan it, we need to enhance it. So Go Anywhere, Kiteworks, Progress, you know, we empower them with a lot of multi-scanning techniques because actually we can plug in through APIs the scanning technologies that are out there. So, you know, if I'm looking, I'm just trying to summarize it. So if I'm looking at Magen, again, it's not a magic pill to solve an headache. Yes, it's a proactive solution that gives our partners, providers, a platform with a set of tools, okay, embedded. Half of it are, you know, all the investigation and orchestration are our own developments and technology partnerships that we have. So we fit even to small SMBs, medium-sized customers to deliver, you know, the premium brands, the right analysis with a unified report, and I hope with a premium service because, you know, everything is bundled within the platform. So that's it as being positive and, you know, start trying to end this chase of, you know, and make cyber peace all over. But I think our next presenters will give you some more glance on how we can deal with threats coming all over. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you very much. Yes,
Thank you very much.
we have a lot of presenters ahead still. So the next one, Olivier Daloy. How are you? Olivier? Do we have Olivier here?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I had to unmute, and I'm just going to share my screen in a minute, and I'm fine, thank you. I'm glad to be
Olivier.
Hello.
Yes, let me just say a few words about you. So Olivier is a known speaker. He's the founder and CEO of Blue Enable, and he's an advisory and panelist in Pre-Sale 1, SMB customer security, what matters most. This is what he's going to speak about today. And Olivier, I'm looking forward to hear your presentation.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm going to try to go. Oops. Sorry for that.
Also, Eyal is here for you. This is you.
Yeah, sorry, I have a small issue. Oh, sorry for that.
So Eyal is here with us. In the meanwhile, I'll present also him. Eyal is the CEO of Presale One. Say hello, Eyal, so everybody can see you.
Hi, everyone.
More enthusiastic than that, you couldn't do it. Okay, so you're trying again, Olivier?
Yes, I am actually. Do you see my screen now, or no, you don't?
Not
Let
yet.
me try again. I'll try again to share.
No worries. Things like this happens. In the worst case scenario, we can find another solution, but I'm sure you will hack it.
I'll try this one. Sorry for that. Oops, is it okay? No, it's not working. I'm gonna stick. Sorry, I've tried your trick,
Karen.
Karen. Yeah, I'll go back to sharing my screen here. It will be easier this way. So sorry for that again. 1 minute.
No worries. Eyal, how do you feel? Do you want to share something with us?
Everything is cool. We've been waiting for this event for a long time.
Yes.
And it's very wonderful that it's now online.
Okay. Yeah, I see that Olivier is.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
I'll do it all the way, but at least it works. So very glad again to be with all of you, and sorry for that. So just to introduce quickly myself, I've been working for more than 20 years in the cybersecurity field, and more than 15 years being a CISO for large companies. So you see that here on the screen. I've been the first CISO actually for LVMH. You hopefully all know Louis Vuitton with Hennessy. So very big brands, but also very, very small brands in this very large group. More than 70 brands, by the way. So brands like Chaumet, Fred, De Beers. So much smaller than Louis Vuitton, actually. And that's where I've practiced securing not only big, large companies of more than 10,000 users, but also very, very small companies with shops, small shops, and so on. Then I worked for Thales Group, international group as well, involved in defense activities, and also for Faurecia, so securing not only IT but OT and even products that are sold in the cars. And then I created my own company. So just a disclaimer: what I'm going to talk about is not the situation of any one particular customer. It's basically aggregating everything I've seen through the last years and trying to make it here for you to understand what are the threats and how to better secure small and medium businesses. So what it is all about? It's about risk management, first of all. I mean, the impact for cyber attacks may be far above what a very small or medium business can afford, meaning they can simply go out of business due to a cyber attack. It is definitely an executive topic. I mean, even for very small or medium businesses. Oops, sorry for that. Yeah, sorry. So even for, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for that. I hope they won't call me again. I'm gonna try to switch off my phone quickly. Yeah, so even for the executives of small or medium companies, medium-sized companies, they all know that it is a topic that they need to address. They cannot leave it unattended. It is also a market differentiator. What I mean by that is that more and more your customers are gonna ask, how do you secure yourself? It is not sufficient to say you believe yourself that you are protected. You'll have to answer the questions of your partners and customers. And this is something you definitely cannot escape from. And it is, again, even more compliance issue. I mean, all the new regulations, DORA, of course, and NIS2 and others. GDPR is an old one now. I mean, we have to comply with all of that as well. So you have to demonstrate that you are complying. You have to make sure that you are able to talk to your partners and customers. You have to make sure that your execs understand everything about it, because they will definitely ask questions and they will need evidences of how you secure yourself. And you need to manage your risks in a comprehensive way. So what do they usually have? Most of them, I would not say all of them, but what do I usually encounter when I go to a customer? Yes, they do have firewalls. Firewalls maybe not so well configured, by the way. In some cases, it's even permit all that is implemented in the firewall, but still they have something. They may have a UTM, unified threat machine that protects all of it. They have antiviruses. Most of them have understood that in order to cope with ransomwares, they need EDR. They need a lot of things like that. They know that they have to apply patches, at least critical ones, maybe, by the way. They have backups. I don't know if they test them all the time or not, or at least once. If they have a regular plan to test them, but they have at least some backups, and sometimes outsourced as well. By the way, they may not all know about the 3-2-1 rule. For any critical data, you need to have at least 2 copies of the data, one of them being offline. So all this kind of stuff, they may not be aware of it. And they, of course, have physical security. They lock the doors, they have keys, they have badges, they have UPSs, at least, let's say, for some servers. This is basically what they have. Now, what is missing in there? Well, first of all, network segmentation. When you connect to a system, you may find a lot of systems around it that would enable you to propagate if you were a hacker. And they may not be aware of that. Most of the time, they believe that you won't be able to come in. If you succeed to come in, they don't know that the hackers will be able to progress on the network and capture other systems and capture more data. So this is the first thing that probably they need to understand, meaning they need to have the criticality of their assets that are known, and they need to make sure that they protect the crown jewels, as we say it. For most of them, they don't have logs. They have some logs, not all of them. They may not collect all the logs centrally. They may not archive the logs. They may not be able to search for something that has happened quite a long time ago. So that's a big miss, I would say, for all of them. They may not have a response plan. When I ask them, what's going to happen if tomorrow 5 a.m. there is a ransomware strike in your company? Well, they believe it should happen later than 5 a.m. Sorry, the ransomware is not going to give you an appointment. So they don't know how to call. In many cases, they would call the IT guy, the well-known IT guy in the company, or the one who is the more savvy in IT in the company. Again, this is not the good way of reacting to a ransomware attack. They, most of the time, still, and I would say this is a big issue, they don't manage identities and accesses properly, and even less ensure that they have two-factor authentication on all of their assets, multi-factor authentication. They may not even have a password safe. I keep reminding them that if they buy a YubiKey, for instance, these keys that you just have to touch them in order to do two-factor authentication. This is, let's say, 60 to 70 euros a year, one-time cost. And the password safe is 60 to 70 euros a year. So combining those two, you can be very safe on the internet for 70 euros a year and 70 euros one-time time cost. So it's something they should definitely consider. And again, awareness sessions, I don't mean delivering phishing exercises to all your users and hoping that they will learn from it, but really delivering face-to-face awareness session. And I keep saying, start by the executives, because you clean the stairs from the top usually, and then going through managers and then to every newcomer in the company. This is the way I deliver awareness sessions at my customers, at least. So what are the root cases of all of these being missing? The first things first, they may not have the skills, and they may not know where to find the skills. And they believe sometimes that it's going to be too complex to get the right guys on board and to be able to protect themselves. I mean, getting those people in the teams and securing their systems. They may not have the tools, and I'm glad that we have the great presentation before with, let's say, all the tools merged and in a combined service as well, which I find very interesting as well for those small to medium businesses, because they won't be able to contract with, let's say, 10 different vendors. They don't, let's say, adapt to the emerging threats. Their ability to evolve is very, let's say, quite low. It takes time for them to implement something. Once it's implemented, they don't like to change it. Unfortunately, the digital world is changing, the threats are changing, so the companies have to change as well. It is, of course, sometimes a matter of budget. Still, some of them don't know how much they spend in IT, and most of them don't know what they spend in cybersecurity, despite the fact that this would be a very interesting KPI. I mean, considering how much you spend for your digital world, which basically is necessary for all of your businesses, and within there, how much do you spend to secure it? I believe it's absolutely key. And too many people, too many businesses, too many companies still believe it's technical. Like when you implement some software or hardware, you're going to be okay. You don't need to communicate. You don't need to, and not only communicate on what's going wrong, meaning incidents and so on, but communicate as well on what you did right. Because the executives also need good news, not only bad news. Like, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough people, I don't have the right people, I have an incident. They need to hear something a little bit more positive. And definitely when you communicate on cybersecurity, it has to be positive. Most of the time they are scared by the topic, so they don't communicate in a positive way. So to try to wrap up on all of that, so what should we recommend to all of those companies? First things first, they need to understand where they are, what they already do, what they don't do and should be doing, what they can leverage on, what are the right things that at least protect them and so on, and understanding what is the risk map, meaning what could go wrong, and try to get it with a graph that speaks to the executive, understanding what they need to focus on in the next years, in their budget, and so on and so forth. They need, of course, to communicate throughout the entire company. Too many times I ask my customers, what do you know of what your IT guys are doing in order to secure you? And they don't know what to answer. I mean, they know what they see, like those bloody passwords, and they know it, but what else? I mean, what is the company doing to secure you? And if at least more of them were aware of it, they would contribute to it. They would be acting forward a better security. And for sure, they need to get used to managing incidents. They need to be ready for the next incidents. They need not to improvise tomorrow if anything is going wrong. They need to know at least who to call. You know, when there is a big incident in the company, the first thing is who are you going to call? And do you make sure that those companies are going to be ready to help you with enough people, enough staff, enough tools, enough, whatever it is? Are you going to be able to deploy hunting software on all the systems? If all these questions are raised at the very last minute in emergency, you are definitely going to be more and more impacted by the incidents. Whereas it was not, it was not mandatory to be that much impacted, but you will be impacted if you are not able to cope with all of that. This is it. So I wrote a small article. I encourage you to read it, which I call "It Must Burn Your Hands," meaning typically for the IT guys that still do silly things like password as the admin password typically, or the systems. They don't do all of that. I believe that this should be over now, because again, we are facing complex threats that need at least all of that to be done in order to deal with them properly. That's it. Thank you very much. And sorry for the hard beginning.
No worries. Thank you very much. And we'll be in touch. So now we're going to listen to May Brooks-Kempler. I have to say she's a very deep friend of mine. So she's a BOD at ISC2, POTP, and Pre-Sale 1. Helena founder, CEO, and she's going to speak about Gen AI insider threat. So just a second.
Hello and welcome. My name is May Brooks-Kempler. I'm a cybersecurity expert with over 20 years of experience. And in the last decade or so, I've been exploring the human side of cybersecurity. How can people make all the difference and can be either the weakest link or the strongest link in our cybersecurity endeavors? Following the generative AI boom, because I don't have another word to call it, I want to talk a little bit about the insider threat of using generative AI. So let's get started. I'm sure that most of you, or maybe even all of you, are using generative AI. I use it every single day. I use it on my personal life to plan my next vacation. I use it to help me generate content faster. I use it to tackle my ideas and challenge myself to create new things. I even used it to create the layout for this presentation. AI can make our lives so much easier. We can use it to automate things that used to take us hours and hours. We can use it to empower our teams. We can use it to create content. The opportunities are almost endless. But like all good things, AI comes with risks. In the last few weeks, I had the opportunity to engage with several CISOs around the world and hear from them how they tackle generative AI usage in their organizations. Unsurprisingly, most of them are either developing or developed or are planning to develop policies and procedures around AI usage, and that's great. And I've actually seen both extremes in the last few weeks. I talked to a CISO in a tech company, and they have zero restrictions around AI usage. Whoever wants to use AI for whatever they want to use it can do whatever they want. And on the other hand, I talked to a CISO in a biotech company, and they completely restrict AI usage. They don't care who, they don't care why, they don't care where. It is completely forbidden to use AI. Now, I don't like extremes. I don't like the first one, and I don't like the second one. And I think that policies and procedures are there to guide us as professionals, to set a clear understanding of what we want to achieve, how we are going to achieve it, to give our employees and our colleagues guidance to understand what we expect of them and what are the guardrails, what they should do and what they can do. And obviously, like everything else in cybersecurity, we're always talking about the risks. And using AI with its wonderful benefits obviously has its risks. We usually talk about the usual suspects like AI bias. Can we actually trust what we see? What about misinformation? There's also a lot of question around intellectual property. Who owns content that was created using generative AI? Is it mine? Is it not mine? Can I protect it? To what degree can I protect it? And to be honest, no one really knows. The law system always reacts with a delay. No one really knows how to tackle that. We know that hackers utilize generative AI tools to create more plausible attacks. We have ethics considerations and so much more. But as I said, in the last decade, I've been focused on the human side of cybersecurity. And one of the things that I've always found fascinating is insider threat. Because in many cases, insider threat doesn't happen because someone wants to hurt the company they work for. I mean, come on, they give us our salaries. I mean, we work for a company, we don't want it to go bankrupt because we'll lose our job. Unfortunately, we know that insider threat is one of the biggest challenges in cybersecurity because insiders are already part of the network. They're already there. They might not mean to cause harm, but at the end of the day, they do. So today I want to talk a little bit about the risks that are associated with our employees using AI. What should we be aware of? How can we guide them and help them keep the organization safe? I think first and foremost, we have to talk about the elephant in the room or the faucet in the room, and that's data leakage. It's probably one of the biggest concerns that I hear from most people I talk to around the use of generative AI, because people don't even think about the data that they upload to generative AI tools. They don't consider the fact that if they uploaded a file to a publicly facing generative AI tool, that file is now public knowledge and can be used by anyone else. And again, it's not someone who wants to cause harm. In many cases, people will say, oh, okay, we know we can't upload files to a generative AI tool, but we can ask it questions. And I want to give you an example of company A and company B and how both are using AI tools and how inadvertently one company can actually cause harm to itself and to the other company. So it's going to be on both sides. So let's say company A now wants to create a marketing campaign, and they utilize ChatGPT or another AI tool to create that initial layout for the marketing campaign. And they challenged the AI tool again and again, giving it feedback loops and getting another answer and another and asking another question until they're happy with the result and they have that layout for their marketing campaign. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with feedback loops, it's basically the way that you can train an AI tool to speak in your voice. And I do it all the time. For example, I have a specific AI tool that I use for my content creation. And because there are so many feedback loops, sometimes I can give him a couple of sentences and it will generate a post, for example, and I will read it and it will say, wow, I almost don't have to fix anything. It's so close to the way I would have written it myself that I don't have to do anything about it. And that's the power of feedback loops, because I train the model so it will speak in my voice, so it will give me the benefits that I need. So going back to company A, they have now a marketing plan that was created by an AI tool. Great. And they take this marketing plan and they start working on the creative and producing the ads, etc. Around the same time, company B also wants to launch a marketing campaign. Now, they're a direct competitor of company A. They go to the same AI tool and ask it to generate a layout for a marketing campaign for a company doing very similar things. Because that AI tool already learned from his feedback loops with company A, he'll probably produce something pretty good pretty early on. Suddenly, company B, they don't know it, but they basically have a campaign strategy very similar to the one that company A is using. This is both data leakage from company A, but it's also a problem around data bias or data misinformation of company B. Because company B is going to take those results and use them in their campaign. Now, company A is probably about 1 or 2 steps ahead of company B. So by the time company B is getting close to launch, company A will probably already launch their marketing campaign. Suddenly, company B will realize they have nothing to show for because they went with a very similar campaign. So it's a dual-edged sword here. And that's a huge problem because no one uploaded data. We just used the AI tool to ask questions and build a layout. But that can be used by our competitors as well. And let's take it even a step further. We all know that one of the basic principles of cybersecurity or information security is keeping need to know. Only people who have the right need to know will be exposed to specific information. This is especially important when we talk about sensitive data in organization. For example, a new product that is about to be launched, succession plan that is in place, a merger or an acquisition that is being explored. Those are things that are super sensitive, and if they get out prematurely, they can even put a halt to the entire project. Unfortunately, most AI tools today don't have internal need-to-know controls baked into them, meaning that if the CEO and a data analyst ask the same question of an internal AI tool that was implemented internally. So we're not talking about data leakage. We're talking about a lot of companies today, we know, already have their internal AI tools integrated into their systems. We know that they have their own data and they can ask questions, etc. Unfortunately, because there is no way to control who sees what and implement the need-to-know principle, the CEO and the data analyst will get very similar answers. Now, the CEO knows which data is sensitive and which is not. What can they talk about with their colleagues, with their friends, with their families, with whoever. The data analyst doesn't necessarily have the same understanding of what's going on in the organization. They might inadvertently expose data that is highly classified and can really bring harm to the organization without knowing, because they saw it and they have no idea that this is sensitive or classified and should not be shared with other people. So sometimes even understanding that people might be exposed to things that they are not supposed to, and directing people in the right direction when it comes to data sharing can go a long way. We all know in IT that we have a problem around shadow IT. It's people that implement AI, IT tools that were not approved by IT and cybersecurity, and they use them for their own needs. And I'm sure you all have similar stories to the one I'm going to share, but a couple of years ago I was working for a company, and I was sitting with one of the R&D team leaders when I saw that he was using a task management tool that was not an official tool that is used by the company. Now, we had our own tools. We had quite a few tools. I asked him, why are you using this one? Well, I'm just used to it and I like it, and that's the reason, no other reason. And is it only you? No, my entire team is using this tool. But it's not from the company. How do you, who pays for it? Oh, it's the free version. It's on my Gmail and on all my teammates' Gmail. So basically, I found out that I had a full-on task management tool in my company with sensitive tasks on R&D that is linked to the entire team's personal Gmails. And that's a huge problem because all they had to do was to come and ask us for this tool, and we probably would have approved it because it's a very cheap tool. There was no reason not to approve it, but they never asked. Now, I think with generative AI, this problem is even bigger than with IT. The reason is most tools are, we know, are web-based, so it's super easy to get them. Also, most tools have either a freemium version or they start off as free, or some of them are completely free and will remain free, making it very easy for people to start using different tools all the time. And as cybersecurity, we have zero visibilities to the various tools that our teams are using. And it's not just internally, it's not just our teams. Sometimes, and it goes back to shadow IT, shadow AI and data leakage and need to know. I'm sure that all of you, if you sit down on Zoom calls and Teams calls, etc., you see people have their AI companions join the call. And those AI companions are incredible. They track everything we say, they give us a summary, they give us action items. It's fantastic. However, in many cases, if you ask the person sitting across from you on the team call and ask them, oh, wow, I see that you're using an AI companion. Which one is it? Is it the company's? In many cases, they'll say no. A lot of people get their own tools and they use them. And again, it goes back to their personal emails. Meaning that whatever I just discussed with a consultant or a colleague or a salesperson or whoever is now being transcribed and summarized and sent to their personal email. Meaning that all the insights that were shared in this conversation might find themselves part of the public realm. This is a huge problem. Now, we know that unlike when the internet was created, when AI was researched and created and everything, there were some guardrails and cybersecurity controls baked into it. However, we also know that it's pretty easy to bypass many of those guardrails. For example, if I ask a generative AI tool to give me the recipe to hack my neighbor's Wi-Fi, I'll probably get a response that it's illegal and it can't provide me with this sort of data. However, if I will change my prompt just a little bit and tell them that I'm a cybersecurity expert and I'm teaching a course about Wi-Fi hacking and I want to explain to my students how to hack public Wi-Fi, then I will probably get a response. Maybe not the entire recipe, but enough to get me started if I have no idea what I'm doing. So I think that when AI was created, people had the right idea in mind, but I don't think anyone really anticipated this incredible boom. When not a long time ago, less than 2 years ago, everything started around ChatGPT. When I started talking about generative AI with my colleagues, with my friends, they looked at me, well, but what would you use it for? No, I'm not a content creator. I don't need it. Well, do you go on trips? Then you need it. Do you have things in the fridge that you have no idea how to build a recipe from? Then you need it. So using generative AI, it's not just about work. And I think the more people are using generative AI at home, we'll find more and more deficiencies around cybersecurity because some things were not considered when it was created and no one expected it to be implemented so quickly, so broadly. I think that the only way that as professionals we can mitigate these risks while enjoying the wonderful and incredible things that AI has to offer is to simply guide ourselves and guide our friends and guide our colleagues and guide our employees on how to use generative AI in a safe way. We should talk about these risks. We should tell them if you need a tool, if you see, and we all know, and if you don't know the website, so definitely check it out. There's a website called There's an AI for that. So if you need anything, there's an AI for that. It will literally anything you want, you can find the right AI tool that you can use. If we talk to them and tell them, okay, you want to use this, what is your purpose? What do you need? And we find them the right solution. And we provide them with the resources to use AI in a productive way. And we provide them with guidelines of how they can use it without putting the organization at risk. Then we can actually win this race. We can build the awareness, and we have to build the awareness. And no, I don't know all the Gen AI related insider threat risks. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure more and more will pop up in the future. And I think that's one of the biggest things that if you could take anything from this conversation, take this, be vulnerable. Tell your employees as well, I don't have all the solutions, but I promise you I will never be the department or the person of no, N-O. I will try to be the department of know, K-N-O-W. I want to know what you need, and I want to learn how I can help you. With that in mind, I hope you found this presentation helpful. Try and talk to your peers, to your colleagues, to whoever you can about the risks associated with the use of AI. It has to be performed in a governed way, in a controlled way. That's the only way we can enjoy what it has to offer without putting ourselves and our organizations at risk. So thank you very much for joining me today. The QR code in this presentation is not malicious, I promise. It's just my LinkedIn page, so feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on my podcast, Cybermania, and I hope to see you online.
Great. So we can proceed to the next presenter. So hello, Mauro. I know that you're here. Mauro and Maxime Alay-Eddine from Cyberwatch. Can you hear me, by the way? I hear...
Yes. Hello,
okay.
Romy. We
Hi,
are
everyone.
talking from France, and
Yeah.
I wear a white hat just to be a kind of defense way.
Okay.
So this is it. I'm gonna share my screen.
Just a second, I'll just let me finish to present you. So together with Maxime Alay-Eddine from Cyberwatch and Gilex, am I saying that right? Gilex?
Gilex, but it's okay.
Okay, sorry. They're going to speak about the vital topic of patching automation. So go ahead, and I'm waiting to hear from you.
Thank you a lot, Romy. Good afternoon, everyone. And effectively, we are talking with Maxime about patching automation, which is a hot topic because we are talking about resilience against cyber attacks. That's why I wear a white hat. We are on the defense field. And I will just let do Maxime some opening remarks about the all the things we did together for many years. Especially we went to Israel together, right? In Beersheba.
Absolutely.
Yes, and for a non-disclosed mission about cybersecurity, and it's one of the best reliable experts in cybersecurity in at least in France, and he will explain you in the details what is about patching automation. Now, why we need patching? We need patching because, as you've seen, all the vulnerabilities that are exploited by hackers, by black hats, and those vulnerabilities are available everywhere on the internet. So it is an urgent matter. You cannot delay the patching. That's why automation is very attractive, because if you don't have time to address the vulnerabilities, then you will be hacked before you do the patching. So it is a strategic significance to do patching. Oops.
Yeah, this is oops.
Okay. Now I'm a BlackCat.
You have CrowdStrike?
So this is the famous blue screen of death. And we had more than 8 million of those when we had the patch run by CrowdStrike. It was the worst IT incident in the story of the human, and it's millions of computers worldwide that had this blue screen of death, starting from Australia and then coming to Europe and then to the US. It was not a hacking. It was a patch. You know, CrowdStrike is one of the best XDR platform with the tool called Falcon, and it's a cybersecurity tool that is protecting against any kind of modern attacks like ransomware, and especially the attacks that are based on memory, fileless attacks. So you don't even need to click on a wrong link or whatever. You just are exploiting some unpatched machines. But the main point is that this antivirus, new generation, called XDR or EDR, if you like, is causing an antivirus update. And this update, it's causing a crash because the update is done inside of the core level of the Windows system. Because CrowdStrike, like other antivirus suppliers, are allowed to just put some updates into the core level, into the level 0 of the Windows system, which is causing this blue screen, because when something is crashing in the memory of the core level, then all the system crashes. So we had this tremendous, massive IT outage, and it was because of a cybersecurity provider. So this is very important in the thinking that actually the tool that is trying to protect our system crashed our systems. So patching is relying on the supply chain. Of course, I have been trying to do some investigation about CrowdStrike. I can give you this investigation on one-to-one basis. So I took another tool, which is DoubleClick, very well known, and I tried to see how many third party are using DoubleClick into their own system. And you have almost everyone is using DoubleClick. So if DoubleClick is somewhat hacked through the APIs or through the modules that those companies are using, by bouncing into our own system, it could contaminate ourselves. So patching is not only for our own systems, is also for all the supply chain components that are related to our system. So now that we understand that patching automation is something very important, but also very, very dangerous, I leave it to Maxime that will go into the details of the technical implementation and how to be successful into a patching strategy.
Thanks, Mauro. So basically, what I will say is based on the experience that we have regarding vulnerability management and patch management in Western Europe. If you want to achieve patch management automation and patching automation, you will have way more success if you deploy it as a result of vulnerability management. Basically, when you say to your board, I want to implement patch management, the issue is that people will always tell you, yes, but patching is not good. And they might talk about actually the CrowdStrike incident because they will say, I remember that it failed, but people actually focus on the part where the patching will fail and will never remember that it works mostly all of the time, actually. Also, when you say, I want to deploy a security update, people won't say that it will actually create value, but they will only see the risk. And also, it's very technical because when we talk to you about KBs, they don't really think, oh, I want to understand that. They will say only, oh, what is a KB? This is way too technical for me. Please don't talk about that. And also, if you want to deploy patch on all your information system, it actually requires tools and a lot of time. So it's something that will take resources from the company and will not be perceived as something that will create value. However, most companies will actually be mature enough to deploy vulnerability management or at least vulnerability scanning. And first, the path to go to patch automation is through vulnerability management. So if you want to achieve patch management automation, please do first the vulnerability management automation. We can even talk about a vulnerability management maturity model from chaotic to fully automated, which is the hardest part to achieve. The first part is to just scan periodically with a reactive approach, but then you can use the continuous vulnerability scans, and that's the proactive approach. That's the first real steps that matter. Once you have done that, you will have too many vulnerabilities and you will look about prioritization. Once you have achieved that, then you will be able to work about on the automation part. This is the hardest part. So the three major milestones toward vulnerability and patch management automation are continuous vulnerability scan, then vulnerability prioritization, and then deploying patches automatically. To perform the continuous vulnerability scan, our first really important step, you have first to know what you have. So you have first to build an asset inventory. Then you have to scan your assets. And the last part is, if you can, please rely on authenticated scan because they are less dangerous and you can actually run them continuously. And with good tools, you can actually build an automated way to scan automatically any new asset discovered. Then you can use this kind of KPIs where you would say, okay, I know what I have. This is what I have. This is my exposure level. And this is what I scan. And your goal would be to get at least 80 or 90% of each category of each asset scanned with their vulnerabilities continuously. The next part, the next step is once you have performed vulnerability scan, you will have a huge reports. Basically, people would often say that vulnerability scan reports are the heaviest objects in the universe, unfortunately. This is where you have to actually prioritize the vulnerabilities, and you can do that. If you want to prioritize the vulnerabilities without any vendor locking, please do not use proprietary method, but use the standards. You can use, for instance, the CVSS and the EPSS. The CVSS is the most used standard for vulnerability scoring. And I will be very short on this, but it goes from 0 to 10. And usually you would think that the weighted average is around 5, but the issue is that the weighted average of vulnerabilities is around 7.5. So most vulnerabilities are actually with a high level. Then we have a new standard, which is called EPSS. I will put a link in the chat about that. And EPSS is very good because it discriminates the vulnerabilities. The issue is that it's trained with machine learning, and it relies on some criterion like the vendor affected by the vulnerabilities. And most of the vulnerabilities that will be marked with the EPSS will actually come from Microsoft. So the issue is that as it comes from Microsoft, every patch Tuesday, you have fire everywhere in your information system. So if you want to fine-tune all of these things, you can also rely on cherry-picked vulnerabilities that would be cherry-picked and chosen by the French authorities if you are based in Europe, or by the CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, if you're based in the US. And what I would recommend you to do is to build this kind of graph where you would set two thresholds: the level of CVSS that you want to eliminate, and the level of EPSS that you want to eliminate. If vulnerabilities have a high enough score in CVSS and EPSS, they will be marked as high priority. Otherwise, they will be marked as high priority only, and if only they have been chosen by the authorities that you choose, like French or American one. And you can actually use this approach for all your information system. You can say on non-sensitive assets, I will only use vulnerabilities if they have been cherry-picked by authorities. For the critical assets, I will have low thresholds so that I will have a lot of vulnerabilities to focus on. And for common assets, you will have a higher threshold so that you have a reasonable quantity of vulnerabilities to eliminate. If you do that, you will actually solve the vulnerability prioritization part with quantities that you can actually achieve and patch quite easily. You can actually build KPIs by focusing only then on the high priority vulnerabilities. And you can also focus on the actions in your information system, on the patches that if you deploy them, will fix the most high priority vulnerabilities. Then, if you want to implement the patch management automation, you will have to layer on to compartmentalize all your software in several categories, from the firmware level to the custom software. So for instance, firmware, operating system, OS packages, third-party apps, libraries, and custom software. Unfortunately, all of these categories will require different tools. You do not patch a 40 OS the same way you patch a Microsoft Windows. So you have to choose the appropriate tool for each layer. And once you have done that, you can actually monitor for each category the number of patches that you have deployed successfully in a certain quantity of days. For instance, you could say, okay, I want to monitor if I have deployed my OS and OS packages within 30 days, or my third-party apps within 30 days. And for firmware, you would say maybe 90 days would be okay. And once you have done that, you will be able to, over time, restrict the number of days so that you could say, okay, the firmware, now I want to deploy them every 30 days. So a quick summary before I give back the hand to Mauro is you have, in order to achieve patching automation, you have to go from continuous vulnerability scan, then to vulnerability prioritization, and then patching automation. And this way, through security, you will actually deploy the patching part of your information system in an automated and secured way.
Thank you, Maxime. So, can you see my screen? I guess yes. So now, how can we avoid the human error, or at least minimize it? Basically, the point is about some common challenges. So I found about 5 of them. First one is about the plugins. The plugins may not be compatible with the new version, which is causing crashes. It was not what happened in the case of CrowdStrike, because by their own investigation, we know that is some update of an IOC that went wrong. So was it a loss of functionality? No, the function were there, and it was patching the new IOC they found in the night. But you can face some loss of functionality when you do also patching. Then you can have performance problems. This is a very tricky issue, because actually it's not the same people that are doing the patching and the people that are looking at the performance. So you need some kind of 360 team that is including the patching team inside of the IT team, so they can do bad testing on the performance before. About the 500 errors, so this is the worst. The site becomes completely inaccessible and your business is in danger. And this is the case, of course, we had with CrowdStrike failure. And the last one is about loss of customization. So if you have some specific developments, maybe you wipe them out when you install a patch from the software company. So some guidelines to be a kind of safe about patching. The first one, like everything in the cybersecurity now, is to do backup. Backup is the basic rule, and the backup before each update has to be complete and full. The second one is use a test environment. Okay, so instead of doing directly the patching on the production, you have a pre-production or release candidate. And this is what went wrong with CrowdStrike, because it was considered a minor patch, and then CrowdStrike did it automatically. As Maxime said before, if it's something not very important, not very relevant, not very critical, you can just proceed automatically, smoothly. But this was wrong, because everything that is done on the core level of the process and the operating system is something that is critical, actually. So you activated your automatic updates only for minor patches. Then you have to monitor your site, your application. If you have a SaaS application and it's based on a website, basically you should know in a second that your website is down or was defaced. And then it's about plugins. So a lot of people, they grab all the plugins because they're free, they find on the internet. And sorry for that, because in my connected classes, I had some messages incoming. So I'm not completely fluent with those. And so those plugins, it's all the third parties. Okay. And the last point is about train yourself. So you need to understand what you're doing, basically, in the patching. So what about the takeaways? What, when you come home, or you're home already, but you are at the office, but what's next with the patching? Automatic or not automatic? There is no answer. It depends. It depends on the skills you have on the site, on the skills you have about the software company. Automatic updates, they take a lot, they eat a lot. And the point is that sorry, another interruption. So I hope you can't hear what's inside the glasses, but anyway. So the minor updates, the non-critical updates, automatic, and the rest manually with a bed test, with taking your time, and stay manual until you have a good grasp on what you're doing. As many speakers before said, everything in the cybersecurity is going in a huge change. I would say a revolution, because there is artificial intelligence and the hackers are using it, and the defense through kind of patching and source systems to patch and to implement changes into the IT systems are using it also. Of course, the XDR level, we have seen it with CrowdStrike, and at the SOC level also, and the IT team level, the green team, and all the software development. If you go to ChatGPT at the moment and you ask, write me a routine to exploit this or that, it will do it if you know how to ask politely. So my closing remark is very essential. We are here to serve the business, the IT. We are not here as IT per se. So remember that we have to enlighten the problems, then we have to enforce the security, but we have to mostly enable the business. So if we are blocking the business, if we are slowing down the business, we failed. So we have to improve to be a business enabler. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Maxime, for your insight on the technical way.
Thank you both very, very much. It was very insightful as usual. And Mauro, I hope to see you soon. Maybe finally it will happen. And
with
now,
pleasure in IRL, as they say, the young people, in real life.
we are young. Okay, so now we're going to hear Tal Kollender. She is the founder and CEO of Gitpol. She's going to speak about know your enemy and know yourself. Can you fight 100 battles without disaster? Tal, are you here with us? Is Tal here with us? Let's see. Eyal,
can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Amazing. So first, can you hear me now better, or is it okay? Perfect.
Same.
So, Guy, thank you so much for having me. Maybe let me start by telling you a few things about myself or my past. Today, the fact that I'm the CEO and the founder of Gitpol is because of the fact that when I was younger, I used to hack to so many, I would say, places, and it started with some like 20 plus years ago, when some internet games, and then it evolved to some other things like think about even, like mailboxes and other things that was very easy for me to do it because of a simple fact, misconfiguration. Now, as an attacker, not only me, but so many other people or other hacking and hackers, hacking out with hacking skills, obviously, and hackers, they can tell you that it doesn't really matter how best your EDR or antivirus is, how many tools you implemented successfully, like DLP and email gateway and whatnot. At the end of the day, if you get some kind of an attack, then you are still, it means that it doesn't really matter how much money you spend on some security tools, you will still get hacked because of a main thing that is called misconfiguration. Now, most of you pretty much understand or know already what misconfiguration is in the wild. Like it can be like anything from misconfiguration, like you have the CSPM of the world, right? Like the cloud security posture. So the cloud security posture, they should prevent you from obviously like security attacks that come from the cloud. But misconfiguration is everywhere. Just think about every aspect. One of the things that we cover in Gitpol, it is called device misconfiguration. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how, I would say, progressed you are and how advanced you are in terms of technology, and you go and cloud first and everything would be like as your top priority cloud. At the end of the day, hackers, what they really want to do is they don't really care where they will find the open door or the window. They will try any possible way. You can see it that every day you read probably dozens of articles of I don't know whether it is I don't know, like some kind of newsletter or hospital or bank or other financial company, like even an IT and OT environments. And they can come from the cloud, they can come from an email, they can come from something that we call social engineering, but they will find themselves on your device. What is really scary is that if they find themselves on your device, it will be very hard for them it will be very hard for you in the organization to find them, because they can understand how to move laterally without anyone to see and anyone to check. Why? Because they abuse something that is called device misconfiguration. Now, device misconfiguration, again, I'm pretty sure that you know it in the cloud, but the misconfiguration word became very popular today. So moving laterally, abusing this, will make it even better for an attacker just to do what they used to do 20 years ago. Now, doing that, abusing the misconfig without anyone to see, that is why you get so many, probably, I don't know if alerts, but things that are on your, probably in your, on all over the news, because unfortunately, I would say mainly places with less money and with less, I would say, super talented people, they are the ones to suffer the most, although they do have the technology to support it. And it is a very common problem these days. Now, what we define is that after even Microsoft and IBM and Oracle and Google say that most of the attacks are because of device misconfiguration, yet the only way to do it or to close it is, I would say, you assign a project, you do it half manually, half automatically, and most of the problems is that you are struggling between the CISO and the IT, that you tell each other and then you need to script it, and it's a mess. And I will give you an example. I can give you the example of SolarWinds. I can give you the other things that happen later on of how to fix the CrowdStrike thing. It's not really misconfiguration. If you would ask me, it's way more deeper than that. And you need to learn that device misconfiguration is something that I'm pretty sure that you heard like 20 or again a decade ago, even more. One of the most popular example would be SMB version 1. SMB version 1 is something that exists from, I don't know, the year of 2000. It exists on Windows, it exists on Linux, and it exists on Mac. I will talk about network devices in a few minutes, but one thing that you really need to understand is that no matter what vulnerability management or assessment tools you will run on your device, they will always, or they will find, or a PT, whatever, they will find what is wrong. And once they will find what is wrong, I don't know if you know, but SMBv1, it's the first version, and then there is SMBv2 and SMBv3. What is the problem? That SMBv1, why is it misconfigured? Because it is pretty much by default installed or enabled on your devices until, let's say, the recent Windows 11. But most of the organizations, they do not have the top recent advanced operating system. So what we usually do, okay, so we tell them, okay, let's patch. But you cannot patch SMBv1 because SMBv1, like TLS-v1, so SMB is for the sharing, like some kind of sharing protocol, and TLS is when you, I don't know, going to HTTPS, whatever website. The TLS, again, there are some versions. The weakest version is TLS 1.0, like SMB 1.0. What is the main problem? Is that you cannot patch it. So what can you do? You can disable it. But now, think that you are a big bank, or even a medium bank, or a big hospital. Do you know how many, I would say, systems they have that might be dependent on the specific protocol on specific devices because some legacy software is running over there? That is why they are afraid to do it from the beginning. So we saw that there are too many, I would say too much noise in terms of too many systems running on whatever devices. They show you what is wrong, but they cannot fix. So we came with a great solution that says, okay, no more, no, I mean, we don't want to have any noise. I mean, and we don't want to have the noise cancellation. What we really want to do is that we really want to show you on each and every, I would say, misconfiguration that we find on the entire devices, we really want to show you the specific misconfiguration. And again, if it was or wasn't used. And why is it so important? Because at the end of the day, when you want to close something, you really want to validate and to do something that we call like a safe remediation. And, or in other words, we can say zero business disruption remediation, because again, you know that there is no impact. So maybe you have Linux and Windows and Mac, and then you need to change it. You need to script it differently on Windows, or maybe you use Intune on GPO. Maybe on Linux you use Chef, Puppet, Ansible, whatever, and Mac OS you use Jump or Kanji. But at the end of the day, you really need to understand that it is different from one operating system to another, because on Linux, I'm pretty sure that you have more than one distribution, like more than, let's say, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Rocky, Debian, etc. And Windows Server 2019 is different than Windows 7. So finding the entire, I would say, gaps, matching to the scenario if you really need to use the specific thing or not, and then to remediate it without any business disruption, that's the key. Now, we even tell you how attacker works and what is it that they think like once they are in your organization. Now, if you don't mind, I will share the screen because I do believe it's really important. I'm going to share my screen so you will see yourself for a minute, or like see myself, but then I'll jump here. I just need to get a validation. Do you see the screen of the overview? I need someone to say it vocally. Romy, do you?
Yes, yeah.
That's right.
Perfect, thank you. So I really want to show you like one of the things that we do under the misconfiguration, so you will have a better visibility. You see for J and SMB, etc. But once I click just to see the entire device list or the entire misconfig list on specific Windows endpoints, you will see whatever that you want to see, whether it is a browser misconfiguration here, or credentials things, or even, I don't know, lateral movement, things that are by default enabled, or someone change it locally. One thing that I really want you to see is, again, if you go back to the SMBV1, but I can show you way more things, you will be able to see what is SMBV1. You can definitely get more details on how to disable it yourself if you really want to. You can see the CVSS and the whatever criticality. You can go and see by device what is wrong, but more importantly, you can see that the entire device list that SMBV1 is enabled but wasn't even used in the past 90 days. And then with having all of the data, you can, of course, maybe with your roles to change it to a subset of devices. It doesn't really matter right now for the example, but you can remediate it. You can remediate it once, you can auto-remediate, you can change the scheduler of the remediation, and you can add whatever note that you want. You can remediate everything, obviously, if you have permissions, and then don't forget that you can see at the end of the day how much time and money you already saved and how much time and money you can still save. Because we really want to show you that you are essential and the things that you do save you time and money. Because when you want to show the CISO or to the management at the end of the day that you do the right things right in order, and you want to tell them, hey, here is what I did so far. I did like more than 3,700 remediations on more than 18.5K like devices. And again, you will see here like so many things, other things that I did. And again, with time, I mean, how it looks like. But to have a micro, I would say a micro and even a macro view on what's going on. And within, whether it is your threats, whether it is the device inventory, the entire things where you are installed on, whether it is the time that you saved, but also the time that you can still save, only if you kill the top alerts that are in your organization. And it is so important because you really want here to show a message here and to understand how not only to think like an attacker, but also to definitely to win them and not making it happen from the beginning. So I do believe that the approach of think like an attacker, but also do something with that, it teaches you better than any course in the world. And that is something that we're really, really proud of. Obviously, we have way more other things that you can see, but I know that I don't know how much time I have, and that is something really, really important that I want you to understand. Another thing that I know that goes really, really well in Europe and the US, also in Israel, is the compliance. People need to, I would say, like to obviously like to audit or to have audit or whatever, and to show themselves against the CIS. And again, the CIS can be level 1, level 2, whatever, and then obviously against whatever operating system that you want. But then obviously not only to show this, but also taking action, because you want to be complied, you want to be aligned with the standard, and you want to make sure that things are aligned as you wish to have. And again, this comes back to the action log to see what you did, when you did it, who did it, what is the status for each and every device, because it is, or for each and every, action. You can see only the remediation or the remediation or the auto remediation, and of course, things that will make your, I would say, your future more or less complex and less complicated and more simple. Because we really want you at the end of the day to see things that are way better than you thought they are, and obviously save you time, money, and huge headache. So that is me. I just want to definitely, with time consideration for the other people, obviously like to thank you for your time and for being here. And well, hopefully we can meet again soon. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Tal. We meet once in a few months in this occasion, so it's really nice. Hopefully we'll see you again. And now to the star, Mr. Refael Franco. Haven't seen you a lot of months. How are you?
I am perfect. How are you, Romy?
Fine, thank you. So Refael is the co-founder at Code Blue, Cyber, sorry, INCD, and former deputy DG. Today, he's going to speak about not just nations, Iranian and Russian influence operation, distributing organization through fake news and propaganda. So, Refael, the stage is yours.
So, good evening and thank you, Romy. Thank you for the invitation and the warm words. So today I want to speak with the perfect storm, and when we are speaking, let's say we want to talk about all the let's say all the campaigns and what Iran. By the way, this is the time to say hello. I see some. Let's say some visitors from other countries that maybe are not should be here, but I will say for them also good evening and good afternoon. So the perfect storm is running like that. How you manipulate, or how you can manipulate or try to manipulate your companies around the globe. And I brought a case study that I run in Bazan, and it's one of the largest refinery company in Israel, and the published was outside. So I want to use this case scenario to present our audiences what should if you are dealing with this kind of crisis, what you can do, what you need to do, and of course it's so easy to do that. And this is part of crisis preparedness, and today we meet more and more, I will say, more propaganda, more fake news, let's say social media manipulation based on AI, all of those, let's say, new threats. We are really met them. In June, we met one of them. This is the case story that I bring to the table, and it's starting like that. So in 6 o'clock afternoon, the Cyber Avengers, one of the well-known, let's say, group around the globe, published that Bazan has been hacked by Cyber Avengers. And meanwhile, they show the OT, the HMI, human-machine interface. And you know, as a CEO and as a CISO, and you got from your intelligence team or from your crisis team, you got this screens, you became very nervous. Okay, became very nervous. You don't know exactly how they achieve those picture and everything, and you think to yourself, what I need right now, what I need to do. So of course Bazan is one of the critical infrastructures, so they have all the elements they need, they have all the procedures. Immediately they ask our CMT to jump and to be involved. But there is the big crucial things, what I need to do right now if to the attackers as a permission to my internal system. Okay, and this is very take the story to safety, area safety, people safety, and people hazards and all those things. So this is how it starts, and this is a bigger picture of that that I present you. So in one hand you can shut down all the manufacturer, but you also can change the atmosphere, and you can change everything, and maybe to cause to explosive. So of course, when you get this message on the Telegram and everybody see it, okay, it should be really scary. A lot of people around us, and this is unfortunately, this is what the attackers try to achieve, fear, of course. So of course you can send your incident response team, you cannot do a lot of things, but it's also take times. And if you don't know who are Cyber Avengers, this is a slide for you. It's Iranian IGRC cyber person that has claimed responsibility 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This came from the CISA, a critical infrastructure and cyber authority in the Homeland Security in USA. So the second telegram by the same group, at 8 o'clock afternoon, the Avengers start to selling sensitive data, and they ask for 5 Bitcoin, and meanwhile they shows us again
in the Telegram, they show they have an access to internal control, OT controller. If you know the difference between IT to OT, is perfect, but OT is also responsible for all the manufacture, run all the gas and all the oil. So this is continue to be scary. Meanwhile, there is the DDoS attack. Oh, it's a wonderful DDoS attack. Of course, it was not on a crucial website. Of course, it was a minor website, but it's enough. And right now, you are in a mess of crisis. And the second or the third messages that they send, they send the flame. They publish a flame of the fireball of Bazan. And to be honest, this was close to 11 at night, and it looked like 5 hours after we started to run the crisis. And you can understand what happens in the war room. Okay, so if I can give you some feeling, I will say part of the people were in pressure. Meanwhile, there are some people that thought it could be fake news or not. And of course, it was a propensity to say, okay, we think everything is fake news. But in the beginning and in the first 5 hours, even you think, if you think it's a fake news, you still must to operate all your incident and CMT team and to try to understand if it's true or for it's fake, and you cannot take any consideration and to say, okay, it will be okay, because you cannot avoid that. So of course our CMT team ran the protocols that we had, and we decided this is a fake news. But meanwhile, as we speak, we saw a coverage from the media, and we start to got some questions from a lot of media in the magazines, and I had a lot of discussions with someone that maybe you familiar, maybe you know James Azar, okay, and we start to speak, and we start to chat. And he told me we are also very aware of Iran using fake news and propaganda. However, our research showed the story be credible. Oops. So now you understand that even you are from incident response team and from technology side, you are perfect, okay? Even that, no one can believe you. And this is the problem with fake news. So our PR team jump immediately, okay, and cover the story and speak with, I would say, dozens of thousands of media companies, and of course decrease the flame. By the way, flame, yes, and take the story to low flame, and this is the ability to win the game. But what we need to learn from this, and I have, I think, 3 or 4 more minutes, the ends are Iranian, the brain is Russian. So we understand right now that the Iranians are very close to the Russian authorities, and they are providing more and more, let's say, fake news and propaganda modus operandi. And we should understand that they try to impact our reputation. They try to eat us. They try to right now also to eat the market in Europe, and not just in Israel. We saw many cases that was a very small technology impact, okay, like the DDoS what we see, okay, but all the rest are fake. And right now, as we speak, they sent the messages to media companies all over the globe and try to cause chaos. This is a really a Russian modus operandi, and become more and more familiar with that in Europe, in Israel. I know also some cases in Israel, but in the last 6 months, we dealt with at least 10 times that this modus operandi jumped to our CMT okay, from several different groups. But you as a CISO, as a cyber attack, you should be aware also to this new modus operandi. Why the crisis was successfully, of course, Bazan is our clients. We know the OT system. We know how to operate the policy. We made 2 weeks before, we made a C-level exercise, and we discussed on this, exactly on these issues. So yes, the result was minimizing the regulatory in the business, and of course, reduce the impact of to couple hours. And yes, we win the bad guys. You should aware to the new upcoming threat, propaganda based on fake news, as we see, personalized social engineering, deep fake, and of course to try to avoid damage. So this is my message. I try to do it as fast as I can. Romy, please, if you have a question, just let me know.
Thank you very much. Zvika, now I'm moving the mic to you. Zvika, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Wait a minute.
Thank you, Refael. I'm waiting for you to come to Italy to meet us.
It's behind the corner, Romy. It's really behind the corner. We are warming, and I believe I will see you soon.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. First of all, we would like to introduce you with Bradley Fisher. Bradley is the manager of the channel worldwide for the SMB, and this is his conference code.
My name is Bradley Fisher, and I lead the global partner.
We can't hear it.
Customer security operations. But before I get into that, I'd like to start by addressing
Don't understand.
sure some of you out there.
Just a second and start again. We hear it twice. In the meanwhile, thank you for all the people that are staying here to listen to this interesting part. And we are about to finish. So we really have, your email is open. Zvika?
Wait a minute.
No, we can't hear him.
You hear me now?
I hear you, but I can't hear him.
You cannot hear him.
No, I can hear you, but I can't hear him. Yeah.
Okay, let me to start with my demo.
Okay.
After that, I will try to fix it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everyone. My name is Zvika Flaicshmann. I am a global security specialist in Google Mandiant. After all of the wonderful presentation, professional presentation that you see, I want to show for you something else. It's from a Mandiant Advantage portal. This is the exactly advantage of intelligence that we are working with our system. You can see here is the portal. It can customize here the actors that right now activities, the attacks group that right now activities, the top malware, zero-day, and the indicators, and a lot of others knowledge. We start with this demo because Mandiant is an intelligence company, and we know everything about a lot of companies that tell us that they have intelligence and they do intelligence research and all of that, but no one have the data pool that our company have, and this is before we came to be in Google. After we came to be in Google, it's very, very deep and huge of a data lake of knowledge about cyber and intelligence. Let's together try to find some attack group and see what we have on this portal. First of all, we can see that this attack group, Fin6, it's as the name Fin, it's an attack group that attack finance companies, fintech. We can see here the timeline that these attack groups play all over the world. We can see the others of attackers group that make a merge and campaign with them in the attackers. We can find the malware that they are using. We can find the tools that they use to push the malware inside the organizations, and what exactly of the vulnerabilities that this attacker group using. Here is the industries that they are playing on. A lot of new from the last month, because maybe the business in the others industries a little bit hard. They are going to others and try to attack another industries. And we can find here the regions that they are playing. We have the meter attack of these attacker groups and customer of us that can take from us all the indicators and make enrichment to the security command center that he has inside his organization. He can find with the meter attack how exactly this attacker group can attack him. Because if he find that they attack him in one of these options, be aware that they have a lot of other options to attack you, as the meter attack can show us here. We have the validation option for our customers to take us exactly to the page of the vendor if it's we find a weakness in some of your security system, as Palo Alto or Checkpoint or others. We can take you exactly to the page on the vendor site to make remediation for that, to download the exactly patch that you need to solve the problem. We have a nicely graph with evidence and all of these indicators. It can show to managers how it's look when you need to defend your organization from these attackers. And we have the indicators of this group. We saw here that we have 3,000 and something of indicators of these attackers. We have in our organization intelligence thousands of attackers group that we are making investigation about them. And if we take all the indicators from the all attackers and make enrichment inside in our organization, we can find the options how to make the defense better. Because if we find one of these indicators, as you see, we have here IC score for every indicators. If you get something with a red alert, it's a huge problem. And if you find something with the green, it's maybe it's okay, but please check all your systems. And we have nicely a graph, relevant graph from this our research team, and a lot of reports, and we can find in every reports a lot of knowledge of these attackers, and we can find how to make the defense better. We can find evidence here, examples, a lot of knowledge to make the security better. I take it a little bit from high level because we don't have a lot of time, and it's very late right now. But if someone wants to ask some questions and booking another presentation of this demo with other options as the darknet and the deep web and all of that, you can book it by send me an email. And let's right now, Romy, bring the other speakers, and I will try to find what I can do with the Bradley Fisher presentation.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, Eyal, since you're here, maybe you can say a few words.
Yeah, hopefully Zvika will manage. I'll just present our company. Pre-sale one is a cybersecurity project company. We work in different regions for customer needs. Recently, we've cooperated with Google on the DevOps sec operations of security and Banyan product as Zvika presented. We will be able to extend on that issue. If you would like, you can contact us directly via the website, or if there are any other vendors or presenters you would like to engage with, so please do send us an email or engage through the website. Thank you very much for everyone that participated. Actually, I've expected much more people, but I guess most of them are very busy. Thank you very much for...
Eyal,
yes, Zvika.
Please, can you try to present Bradley from your side, because I think that I have some problems right now and I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to try.
Please.
Right.
And another thing, we are working with Mandiant and Google a lot with Pre-sale one. They are wonderful and very experienced people over there. And if you need something from security, Eyal is the address for that.
Yes, security project. So Eyal, in the meanwhile, till you try to present Bradley's presentation, is Tal still here? Tal, are you with us? There is a question for you. Okay, so so let's go to another hacker.
Yeah, I can try and share if you would like.
Go ahead.
Please.
Okay. I'm going to try it. If I do something wrong, just tell me.
Okay.
Do you see the presentation?
Yes.
I'm going to extend it and press play.
All right. Hi there, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. My name is Bradley Fisher, and I lead Google's global security partner go-to-market for our SMB segment. I'd like to thank Eyal and Pre-sale one for having me here today and giving me the opportunity to speak with you all about Google SecOps and the ability it gives our customers to help navigate the challenges of modern security operations. But before I get into that, I'd like to start by addressing the common landscape many of our customers, and I'm sure some of you out there, are facing at the moment. In today's rapidly evolving digital threat landscape, security operations teams are facing what we call a perfect storm of challenges. The threat landscape is expanding at an alarming rate, attack surfaces are growing exponentially, and the complexity of IT environments is skyrocketing. We're in the midst of what looks like a cybersecurity arm race, where adversaries are constantly innovating and adapting their tactics. Meanwhile, security teams are often overwhelmed, understaffed, and struggling to keep pace. The stakes have never been higher, and the pressure on security operations teams has never been greater. And today, I'd like to explore some of the most pressing challenges facing modern security operations teams and how Google SecOps can help alleviate these challenges with its list of specific features and capabilities. The first challenge is the ever-evolving threat landscape. Cyber attacks are becoming more sophisticated, targeted, and frequent. Ransomware, phishing, supply chain attacks, and cloud-based threats are just a few examples of the dangers that organizations are facing today. The rise of nation-state actors and organized crime groups has further complicated the landscape, with adversaries possessing a vast resource and expertise. It's no longer a question of if an organization will be hacked, but when. The second challenge is the growing attack surface. The adoption of cloud computing, mobile devices, and IoT has dramatically expanded the number of potential entry points for attackers. Organizations are also increasingly reliant on third-party vendors and partners, which can introduce additional vulnerabilities. The attack surface is simply no longer confined to the traditional network perimeter. It's everywhere. The third challenge is the increasing complexity of IT environments. The proliferation of cloud services, hybrid architectures, and containerized applications has created a tangled web of interconnected systems and data flows. And this complexity makes it difficult for security teams to gain visibility into their environment and understand the potential attack paths that adversaries can exploit. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but the haystack is constantly shifting and growing. The fourth challenge is the ongoing cybersecurity talent shortage. There simply aren't enough skilled professionals to fill the growing number of cybersecurity roles. This shortage puts immense pressure on the existing cybersecurity teams who are often already overworked and stretched thin. It also makes it difficult for organizations to build and maintain the expertise needed to effectively defend against modern threats. The fifth challenge is alert fatigue. Security teams are inundated with a constant stream of alerts from various security tools. Many of these are false positives, leading to wasted time and resources. And this consistent barrage of alerts can also desensitize analysts, making it more likely that they'll miss a real threat. It's like trying to hear a whisper in the midst of a hurricane. And in the face of these daunting challenges, Google SecOps offers a powerful solution to help security operations teams navigate the storm. So let's explore some of the key features and capabilities. First is the fact that Google SecOps is the only truly unified SIEM and SOAR out there. It combines security information and event management systems and security orchestration and automation and response into one single platform. This allows for efficient collection, analysis, and response to security events, streamlining workflows and reducing the burden on analysts. It combats alert fatigue by centralizing and correlating security data from across your environment, reducing noise and enabling faster triage and investigation. And it addresses the talent shortage by streamlining workflows and automating routine tasks, allowing your team to focus on more strategic activities. Then there's the benefit of advanced threat detection, which tackles the expanding threat landscape by leveraging Google's vast threat intelligence and machine learning capabilities to identify and prioritize sophisticated threats, even those that evade traditional security tools. All of this assists in protecting against the growing attack surface by providing visibility into cloud-based threats and vulnerabilities. And then, of course, is its cloud-native architecture. SecOps is built on Google Cloud's infrastructure, offering unparalleled scalability and performance by seemingly limitless scaling to accommodate the vast amounts of data generated by all of your cloud systems and distributed services and systems. This ensures high performance and availability even during peak loads or large-scale incidents. Next, and often overlooked, but incredibly important when it comes to the success of leveraging any product, is SecOps user interface, which is completely intuitive. SecOps eases the burden on security analysts by providing an easy-to-use interface for investigating and responding to threats, and helps teams work more efficiently and effectively, even with limited resources. And because we know our customers have invested in a myriad of tooling and cloud services from across the market, we've made sure that SecOps seamlessly integrates with other security services, including over 300 built-in integrations and the ability to ingest from countless other sources, providing a unified view of your security posture and enabling streamlined workflows. Then we arrive at automation and orchestration, which helps teams overcome the talent shortage by automating routine tasks and orchestrating complex incident response workflows, freeing up analysts to focus on higher value activities. This in turn reduces the risk of human error and accelerates response times, critical in today's fast-paced threat environment. And lastly, of course, is the infusion of AI in almost all aspects of this incredible solution. Google SecOps uses AI to enhance security throughout all of these capabilities, including intelligent threat detection and investigation, automated response, anomaly detection, and predictive analytics. It leverages threat intelligence and continuously learns to adapt to new risks, ultimately empowering security analysts to work more efficiently and proactively defend against evolving threats. The challenges facing modern security operations teams are significant, but they're not insurmountable. Google SecOps offers a powerful solution to help you navigate the storm and protect your organization from today's most pressing threats. With its unified capabilities, advanced threat detection, cloud-native architecture, intuitive user interface, countless integrations, and automation and orchestration response features, Google SecOps can help you overcome the challenges of the modern threat landscape to build a more resilient security posture. I'd like to thank you for your time and invite any of you to reach out to Eyal or Presale One if you're interested in learning more about Google SecOps or the rest of our tools which are helping companies across the globe. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Zvika, would you like to let's say to wrap it up? You're on mute.
Yeah, Romy. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What, Romy?
If you want to wrap it up.
I cannot hear you. I don't know why.
Okay, Eyal, would you like to say some closing notes?
Zvika, would you like to join me for the closure of the event?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Right now. First of all, thank you everyone that joined us. It was a pleasure.
Stayed.
Yeah. To meet you all. I must to remark something between cybersecurity from one side to the company that make it and implemented it to your organization. We are all here, visitors and hosting by Eyal Weintraub and his company Presale One, and everything know that if you want to do the system very well and to bring success to your organization with security, you must choose the company that can do that. And Presale One, I'm from Google and I say it by 100%, Presale One is the best of the best here. And please contact them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Benny Falach. Again.
Thank you, Eyal. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, all the team.
Thank you very much.
Great. So there are some questions in the chat. We'll take them. We'll answer them. Please refer to the Presale One blog and LinkedIn page, and we'll have all the answers there. Some parts of the registrations will be also there. And as Zvika said, whatever you need, you can just write Presale One, info@Presale One, and you receive all the information you need. So thank you very much, everybody. And have a nice evening or a nice morning, wherever you are. And see you next time.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Very much.
Bye.